All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another exciting recording of some Autumn's Journey. I'm trying out something new behind the scenes here. It's not going to be anything that you are going to notice, realize, see in any sort of form, hopefully. But just letting you guys know, I'm trying out something new and different in the background here. Part of the editing process to try and make this a little bit better. So hopefully that all works out. But anyway, we are back. I think we're about halfway through this game, so it shouldn't really take us too long. I'm thinking maybe 2.5 hours or something like that. Let's hop in and let's see. So, map, rations. Yep, I think that's everything. Satisfied with my packing, I hurried down the stairs just as Mom was rereading the letter of recommendation she'd finished. Ah, Aura, all prepared?
Right!
I sure am. How's the letter? I just show it to the Argent Valere Guild, right? The Argent Valere Guild was one of the most prestigious orders in Ishtera. It consisted of knights who served the Sun and Moon Council, but also did non-military work. Oliver was the central hub for all their activity. Mom had been part of their guild all her life, so her name was well known among the younger generation of knights. Right. As long as a former knight recommends you, it shouldn't be hard to earn the rank. Hopefully they didn't change any of the requirements. Excited, I snatched up the letter and read the beginning. I, Lady Andrine Bayard, former captain of the guard, Polier of the 3rd Cavalry Line of... Mom, your titles and credentials are longer than the actual recommendation. But I guess it helps since I've been trained under you. I returned the letter so she could officially seal it, then promptly tucked it into my bag, making sure it wouldn't get crinkled. The Merchant Venture's carriage should be ready. They already know the escort arrangements, and your father is making sure your friends don't get into too much trouble. I'm sure it will be fine.
Let's do this!
You're gonna see your daughter off on her grand adventure, after all. I eagerly rushed out the door, not wanting to make the others wait any longer. Wait, Aura. Yes? Well, originally I was going to cancel this whole arrangement. Why? The merchant was rather vague about the contents he was carrying. I usually like to confirm everything with my own eyes, since it's not just for their safety, but also mine, and that of any other escorts. I doubt the package will contain monsters or anything sinister. Are you sure you're not overreacting? I mean, this is your daughter getting involved. She paused and mulled over my suggestion carefully. True, it may just be my overprotectiveness. This is the first time my daughter will go off on her own, after all. She nodded, mostly to herself, and I accepted her agreement. Okay, so this carriage that we're going to be escorting contains, like, bombs.
Right!
Thanks for organizing everything. Now come on. As expected, Dad, Care, and Elmari were at the edge of Barry, with the carriage stationary on the main road. Care paced around while Elmari chatted happily with my dad. The coachman waved to acknowledge us, and I approached the open window of the vehicle. A middle-aged man sat amongst the silks and pillows, which suggested I was protecting a wealthy merchant. Mr. Ormond, was it? I'm Aura Lee, and my companions and I will be escorting you to Oliver. I assure you we're trained, and you'll get there unharmed. The others are well-versed in magic. I was pretty confident about that assumption, at least. He nodded, and I was unsure if he was nervous or just reserved. Thank you. Shall we set off straight away? Oh, of course, it's no problem. Oh. That was very loud. I glanced down and saw an ornate box. It was long and narrow, and I tried to fathom what was so important that they needed a higher protection. Maybe it was a sword. I love the way that her brain works. Like, she's so into becoming a knight, that obviously the only thing this could be is a sword. I wanted to ask about the contents, but decided against it. My priority was getting to Oliver, and the quicker, the better. I made a mental apology to my mother, rationalizing she was worrying over nothing. No, absolutely not. We're gonna get into so much trouble.
Let's do this.
All right, it seems everything is ready. We're moving out. I energetically motioned to the others, then exchanged hugs with my parents. I promise I won't be gone for too long. I'll definitely be back in time for the harvest. No, I'm not. As we departed, my mom cupped her hands around her mouth. And remember, be sure to check every barrel, crate, and chest in town. The residents don't mind if you find something useful. Mom, I'm pretty sure that's stealing. Speaking of which, teach your companions the concept of pay. We don't want them accidentally pilfering apples or the like. Oh gosh, that's right, I didn't even think about that. Pay? Just don't take stuff, especially if it seems like it belongs to other people. But your mom just said... Don't mind what she said. And care! You're too far ahead! Not a professional start. Thanks, Care. The merchant probably heard that they didn't understand pay either. Thank you, family. We hadn't even left the village and already my mind was swarming with worrisome thoughts about the journey. No, just focus on the mission. It'll run smoothly and everything will be fine once we reach Oliver. I reached into the bag and touched the letter for comfort, making sure it was still there. Oh no, what if we lose the letter? That would be awful. That would be terrible. Oh no. Feeling my confidence returning, I straightened my back and gazed boldly beyond the road. Finally, my dreams will come to fruition. The journey so far had gone off without a hitch. We were passing through a rockier area with a forest pressing against us on both sides of the road. There was still much greenery, but some trees already showed the early signs of autumn, with yellowed leaves. Ilmari and I were ahead of the two-horse carriage, while Care was content with shadowing the vehicle. I just thought about this, it just suddenly popped into my head. This would have been a good game to play when it was like turning to fall. I didn't really plan that, but just like, oh, the trees were turning yellow for autumn. We're getting into spring. This would have been good like half a year ago. History and politics were never my forte, and my brain strained to answer Omari's endless questions, but I would perk up if they had anything to do with knights. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those times.
I have a question.
So, this council, each town has a representative and they come together in Oliver to help govern? Pretty much. They do things like build bridges, schools, or improve the agriculture. We have a similar system between the wise dragons. They use their knowledge of the past to help shape our future. Hey, Mori? Have you been picking up activity for the past hour or so? Oh, this is a strange nickname for Ilmari because you can't remember the name. Sorry, I didn't know what the hell you were doing.
Well...
Ilmari. And yes, I have, but I wasn't sure if it should be brought up at all. Activity? Are we being followed? The two exchanged glances, with Ilmari appearing more apologetic than Care.
I'm sorry.
I should have said something. I wish I had your hearing abilities, but still I feel so inattentive. I surveyed the forest, noting any jutting cliff sides. If we were to be ambushed... How many? I don't know, 5 or 6.
Oh.
Do you think these followers have a malicious agenda? I didn't think Heavenkind would be the hostile type. Well, I wish I could say everything was peaceful, but disputes and fights still arise. There's always exceptions. Dragonkind are generally harmonious, but clashes still occur. especially when dominant young males are expanding their territories and they happen to overlap. It can get quite intense and scary. Not speaking from experience or anything. Of course not, I never assumed.
Annoying.
Wait. He stared hard at Elmari, then his eyes widened in recognition. We have met. Care let out a boisterous laugh, clearly amused by the whole situation. Sorry about that territorial instinct. That lake had a nice beach. I stepped between them before any more tension could arise.
Stay focused.
Can we save the border debate for another time? Right now, we have to focus on the people pursuing us. I wish you told me sooner, but at least now we can anticipate any attacks. Let's keep it from the coachman and our client. We'll feign ignorance in the meantime and hope nothing bad will come out of this. I'd rather avoid a battle if possible. I don't think really that was noticeable, me saying avoid instead of avoid. But I do that a lot, where I'm like reading ahead and then I say the wrong letter in between a word. Realizing we'd been standing around, we resumed our march. As I adjusted the bag strap over my shoulder, I glanced discreetly into the woods. Care, Elmari, what is your fighting experience? He could probably take them out in dragon form. Ugh, this body. Elmari shook his head resolutely.
I'd rather not.
I'm not doing anything like that. Moreover, I'm in Urias. I wouldn't do well on land. I know some magic, so I can be a good support.
Bring it.
I'll be fine fighting directly.
Right.
At least you can walk without any problems. And I have my sword along with some focusing techniques, okay? At least we were balanced enough, and my focusing techniques would help me fight in optimal condition. Elmari's ears perked up, and he shifted nervously while Care grit his teeth. They're moving swiftly. They're probably planning to launch an assault once we advance a little farther. I think they're positioning themselves by that outcrop. When we get there...
Let's do this.
All right, they think they have the element of surprise. Prepare yourselves. Sounds like there's more than 5 now. Oh god, they're multiplying. I could already feel my stomach lurch as we neared the destination, and I already had my hand on my sword hilt. Calm down. Calm down. A knight wouldn't be afraid. I gulped and then chided myself mentally, shaking those thoughts from my head. I reminded myself that I was not a coward. I mentally concentrated on a spell that helped refresh and restore some vigor to my body. It would increase my strength temporarily. Okay, I was not expecting Orally to be a spellcaster of any kind. I had to think of what her name was. Once the outcrop loomed over us, there was a moment of uneasy stillness before a swift wind swept through the trees. Yeah. What? A muscle-bound man landed directly on top of the carriage, shaking it violently and causing the horses to rear up. The coachman tried to settle them down as the attacker leapt off of the vehicle, unsheathing his sword. I dashed over and directed his attention to me before he could rip off the door. Our weapons clashed, and I clenched my teeth as I successfully pushed him away from the carriage. I heard the scuffling of feet as more men emerged from the forest, and my heart plummeted. We were outnumbered, nearly 3-1. It's a lot. Not only that, all the attackers seemed to be too organized to be a mere bandit group. My opponent's sword fighting was refined, and their outfits too proper. Not to mention that they had followed us for some time, according to Karen Omari. Take that. I dodged one of his slashes and knocked him out with the blunt side of my sword. I did not want to resort to taking a life if I couldn't help it. I saw Care lunge forward and awkwardly slap one of the guy's faces like he was in a cat fight. Let's go. It looked painful, but it was not an effective strategy. Claws. He's used to battling with claws. I tried to approach Care, but was stopped by another foe. I parried just in time, but could feel the axe whistling past my arm. Care, punch them. Make a fist. What? The axeman swung again. I ducked and then charged forward, bringing up my left hand. Like this! My fist struck my opponent's cheek, causing him to stumble back. Pain shot through my arm, and it took all my effort to not drop my sword and cradle my poor hand. Like that.
Bring it.
Let's go! He's a quick learner! Care delivered a hearty punch. This time it sent his opponent flying. He glanced at his fist in bafflement, then smirked. Oh! I just realized there's something that I changed in the background, and I just remembered that I did. I'm gonna do that like all the time. Please. There we go. An even number. I was messing around with things last night, and I turned down part of my VTuber's mouth wideness. And it was like bothering me in the back of my head, like, why does my mouth look so small? Like, it's not opening as wide as it normally does. And it just suddenly, I don't know why, hit me. Oh, right, I turned that down because I was working on a different model. Did I read this whole thing, or did I get lost? I'm gonna read it all from the start again, because I was paying too much attention to my mouth. Care delivered a hearty punch. This time it sent his opponent flying. He glanced at his fist in bafflement, then smirked. Not bad. I could get used to this. Alright, and now I'm wet. As Care jumped into the fray, I heard Ilmari apologizing loudly. A burst of water streamed forth from his hands, toppling someone who tried to run up to him.
Take this!
4 down, 4 to go. A few men. Ooh, I like this. Rather than just having like the cut in, she's actually in the scene. Okay. A few men that had gotten back up were now second-guessing themselves, while the more stubborn ones tried a round 2. Oh! There's more. Ilmari, get in here. As I was engaged in another sword fight, I stepped back and felt my shoulders bump into someone. I glanced up in the heat of battle and spotted Care, who looked down at me. In the heat of battle, that reminded me. Why are you thinking about this? I assure you the spell won't wear off for my clothes. It's just that I don't want to glance back during, I don't know, the heat of battle and catch you stark naked. Before we could stop ourselves, we burst out laughing, confusing the challengers that surrounded us.
Please stop!
Why are you two laughing? Help me! Ilmari retreated to the other side of the carriage as he struggled to conjure a spell. Care, still chuckling, knocked another man out and darted around the carriage, while I was locked with the second-to-last foe standing. I riposted. Yeah, I guess that's right. I don't know. It just kind of sounds weird. It sounds like I should be saying I riposted. I put it in the mail again, but he blocked my sword. I retaliated with a swift kick to the stomach, and he stumbled back. The only reason why I know how that's pronounced is because of Dragon Age. Because, who is it? I think it's in Origins, so it would have been Zevron. Like, says that as a line so much. Maybe if he's mispronouncing it, which seems like something that he would do. Blame him. His eyes darted over his fallen comrades as he slowly backed away. I pointed my sword at him and he hastily disappeared into the forest, leaving his partners behind. Damn. Perfect timing since I felt my focus spell wear off. Coward. Oh no, our box. A high-pitched scream came from the carriage, and I saw that the door was open. One of the armed men was escaping with the box. No.
Bring it.
Not while I'm around. He slammed the ground with his fist, causing the whole place to shake. I knelt down, covering my head as my sword clattered harmlessly onto the soil. My knees felt like they'd been liquefied, and I had to use one hand to support myself. You didn't have to do it twice. I couldn't move, and each shock only reinforced my terror.
Please stop!
Did Ilmari notice I was scared? The man tripped from the jolts, and the box flew out of his grip. It hit the rocky terrain with a crash, causing the latch to open. What's inside? I forced myself to stand up, but I was unnerved from the tremors. Every step felt wobbly. Care focused on the almost thief, who also disappeared into the woods. By the time I got to the fallen objects, Ilmari was already scooping the items back into their coffer. I saw a few feathers sticking out. Perplexed by the wares, I reached out for the box, but Ilmari slammed it shut, his face pale. Oh no. Ilmari? Phew, closed it. It would have been unfortunate if it got damaged. It was intact.
Of course.
Nothing appears broken. Care chased off the remaining conscious opponents, and I carefully stepped around the supine ones. A few groans were emitted, but they probably wouldn't be up for a while. Ilmari handed the box to me, as if he was eager to get rid of it. I have a feeling it's like... I don't know if any of the dragons have feathers. Did Ilmari? I wouldn't think so. No, I'm pretty sure he had fins. Because, water wouldn't make sense for feathers to be in the water. But I don't think that Care would. That's like more of an earth dragon. But maybe like air? I'm wondering if the feathers are part of a dragon. And he's like,
Thanks.
I'll return this to Mr. Armand. I approached the vehicle and placed the box on the seat. The frightened merchant glanced up warily. We chased them off, whoever they were. He clutched the coffer, cradling it on his lap. Did you see what was inside? No, but I'm sure the contents are safe. I closed the door and promptly waved at the coachman to resume driving. I sheathed my sword, then rubbed my throbbing left hand, regretting my rash display before. Then again, it wasn't like I'd had time to explain a punch, and Care caught on quickly. As we walked, I could feel the adrenaline rush leave me and fatigue creep up. I didn't think I'd do something like that so soon. I looked up to gauge the boys' expressions, to see how they were faring. Care was positively beaming, not breaming, that's weird. Every strut screamed of his triumph. Ilmari had become oddly quiet, and he appeared lost in thought. Well, I've got to check on him. Ilmari still ruminated, and I paused until he caught up. Are you okay? You haven't looked well since the fight. Is it something you're not used to?
Well...
It's not that. He fidgeted and rubbed his arm as he contemplated something. You can talk to me, if you want to. It's just... Orally, do you know what the merchant is carrying with him?
I'm not sure.
I admit I should have asked, but I was too focused on getting to Oliver. So you don't know? No. The dark cloud of ambivalence that clung to him vanished instantly, and he sighed in relief.
Of course.
Ilmari, what is it? And don't say it's nothing. When people say it's nothing, that usually means it's something. I looked at him beseechingly, and he squirmed under my stare. I could tell he wrestled with his answer. You're right. There is something nagging at me, but I don't want to be jumping to conclusions at this point.
I'm sorry.
No. Can I think about it and tell you later? I want to know what's in the box, damn it. I don't want to hide things, but I don't want to openly speculate unless I'm certain. Is that acceptable? I mean, yes, it's totally, completely valid, but also, I'm a curious bitch and inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
It is. Thanks for not being completely evasive. But I do want to be told eventually. Should I demand to see what's inside the box? Let's just focus on the task at hand. You're right. You were ordered to supervise care. We shouldn't sidetrack. Then let's get this carriage safely to Oliver and get paid. Hey, money that is given for goods received, services provided, or work done. You sure learn quickly. For a while I was worried.
I promise.
I won't be trouble. I want to be useful.
Thanks.
Ilmari. I leaned in and lowered my voice to a whisper. There's no one else following us now, right? We're safe. I'll be sure to tell you from now on if I hear something out of the ordinary. Phew, then onward it is. In a few days, we would arrive in Oliver. I adjusted my bag and thought about the letter, eager to reach the guild. New chapter. Chapter 5. I want to be a knight. Ooh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'm looking at everything. My eyes are looking. Interesting. Okay. Halt. State your business. Cargo delivery from Merchant Ventures. I have expected some questioning, but the name carried enough weight that the guard simply nodded and ordered the gate to be raised. While that happened, I approached the client, who gave me a small pouch of coins. As per our agreement, I grinned and accepted the payment, resisting the urge to check. Was it rude if you counted the money in front of your clients? The heaviness seemed appropriate as my fingers gripped the bag.
Thanks.
And I'm glad you arrived safely. Take care.
Wow.
As the carriage rolled away, I noticed Care and Ilmari standing around gawking at the thick city walls. Well, shall we get going? They broke out of their trance. Ilmari's eyes shone radiantly while Care tried to hide his stupefaction. Please try to stay with me, no wandering off. I tucked the pouch into my belt and they quietly followed, soaking in the sights as we entered the city. We strolled easily through the wide streets, which bustled with many carts and carriages passing by. Eventually, the crowds thickened, forcing us to slow down. I saw the two dragons getting a few curious stares, but everyone seemed to be too busy with their own schedules to pay any real attention. No, those were no more than passing glances. If it was more unusual, I'm sure people would have stopped and commented. It was then I spotted one person with ears similar to Care's. Oh? So it was true that there were more dragonkind here. We're just not going to talk about that, okay. At the plaza, there was a large platform with carnival feats on display. Ooh. A fire eater launched a flame, and the crowd awed and applauded accordingly.
The hell?
I didn't know Heavenkind could breathe fire. What is this trickery? How does this work? Can anyone learn it? An illusion. It only appears like that because he extinguishes it at the right time. Come on, this way. As we zigzagged, Omari abruptly stopped, and I nearly bumped into him. Omari?
Wow.
He had found a glass-blowing shop with an open front, and one of the artists was molding a transparent blue bubble through a blow tube. Suspended all around the store were glass-blown ornaments. Below, rainbow vases sparkled in the sunlight.
That is so amazing!
How are they able to create something so beautiful? There's so many colors. He took a step forward, but I quickly pulled on his braid, then on Kara's hair because he was dawdling towards a pastry shop.
Stay focused.
We'll never get to the Argent Valere Guild at this rate, come on. But I want to see. They have apple tarts. We can check the glass shop later, and Kara, you'll get cavities if you keep eating those. Enough dilly-dallying. We have somewhere to go, and I want to get there now. I released them both after they promised that they wouldn't run off and made sure they stayed close. Fortunately, the guild was located in a quieter part of town, between the church and public gardens. Kara looked quizzically up at the headquarters, which proudly displayed an embossed sign.
The hell?
This doesn't look like an altar.
Whoops, sorry about that.
This is just a small side trip, promise. I clapped my hands together and gave a little bow, closing one eye. Something I really need to do first. I'd love to have you come in with me, but they probably don't allow just anyone. So can you two please not wander off? I'll treat you to all the glass shops and apple tarts you want after.
I promise.
Fine. I sighed, but was relieved that at least one of them was obedient. Besides, even if there are dragonkind here, you might attract too much attention. And I won't be there to protect you if something bad happens. Don't worry about us, we'll be over there. He pointed to the garden, which consisted of shady trees and benches scattered around pretty flower beds.
Thanks.
I fished out the letter and entered the building. Inside, everything seemed more normal than I had anticipated. It reminded me of the lobby of an inn or shop. There was a large board with various scribbled reports pinned to the cork. A few knights with authentic-looking badges walked by, giving me only a passing glance. I approached who I assumed was the receptionist. This is the Argent Valere headquarters, right? Right. I have a letter advocating me for the title of knight. Do you simply join if you fulfill some requirements, or how does this work? First, what academy did you graduate from? I was homeschooled. She shook her head, and I started to get anxious. I pushed the letter onto the counter. At least read this. Lady Bayard. Bayard. Lady Bayard. Yeah, I'm her daughter. She personally trained me so I could officially join the Knights and serve under the Sun and Moon Council. She ripped open the letter and read it eagerly, like it was addressed to a fan from an admired celebrity. Her eyes darted down, and she looked up with a peculiar expression. Her credentials and titles are longer than... I know. You must have lots of potential if you're Bayard's daughter. Sadly, we no longer accept people who are solely trained under one person, oh no?
What? No.
She flashed an apologetic smile. I'm sorry, so sorry, but rules are rules, and as much as I admire your mother, new protocols have been recently implemented and they are to be followed. If you want, I could look for openings in the Oliver Knight Academy. Her voice droned on, but I could no longer register anything. I could only stand there numbly and nod. All of my training? For nothing? This couldn't be.
Are you okay?
No. I was not sure what happened, but I had somehow managed to make my way to one of the benches outside. Aww. I was curled up with my head nestled in my knees, not responding to any of Ilmari's concerns. So did it work out? Care? What? I'm just asking if it worked out. Obviously not. Embarrassed and teary-eyed, I glanced up to see what the other two were doing. Ilmari hovered around me fretfully, like he was trying to figure out how to shoo a spider out of a kitchen. Care, on the other hand, gave me a stern look that said he'd relegated me to the status of dirt under his shoe. And I didn't care.
This can't be happening.
It's over. All over.
Oh.
What does one do to reassure a heavenkind? They usually take him or her out to the pub so they can drown in their sorrows. What's a pub?
What?
Is it a type of lake? I don't want anyone to drown. My chest and shoulders shuddered from a half-hiccup sob and a laugh. Oh, those two. I sat up and wiped my eyes.
Thanks.
I'm fine. It'll just take a while to recover, that's all.
Annoying.
As long as you can take me to the next altar, I'm good. I scowled and shot up, staring him right in the eye. I wanted to become a knight so I could help you better.
I don't care.
I still have no idea what those are. Don't care. You've already delayed us enough with your fiasco. And you're the one who kept telling us not to wander off. Hey, rocks for brains. A precious little girl's dreams just sort of shattered into a million pieces here. Excuse me if I don't feel like, guiding you to the next altar right now.
Annoying.
This is pathetic. I bet I could find someone else better who would be, more willing to.
Stop!
There was a ferocious snarl at the end of Ilmari's outburst, and we immediately stopped arguing. I blinked blankly, then sat back down on the bench, surprised that Ilmari could express such ire if he desired. The flare vanished, and soon he was his usual calm self, but with a considerate yet stern edge to his voice. This obviously isn't getting us anywhere. Orly, I know this meant a lot to you, but we also can't forget the original reason for being here. Care, ease off. Let's not fight, especially when we'll be working together to get your form back. He softened and leaned in so he was on eye level with me. Orly, you can still help, knight or not. It's only a title, right? You've already done so much for us. You're like a knight already. For some reason, that caused me to smile, and I chuckled lightly at his attempt to cheer me up.
Yeah.
I can still help. I stood up. You can be cool sometimes, Ilmari, and mature. He pouted and folded his arms. I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest one here. Care and I exchanged surprised glances, since I had definitely pegged Ilmari as the baby of the group. Do we both feel like we can talk in an amicable manner again? I nodded. After a moment's hesitation, Care shrugged, but didn't fight back.
Oh no.
Oh, I forgot the letter, although I don't see the point in going back for it now. Maybe I should have listened to the alternatives. It wasn't like I was getting completely rejected. It's my fault for relying too much on my mom's name anyway. Hello? At that moment, someone ran up to us, clutching the letter. He carried an air of formality, and I instantly recognized his uniform rank as captain of the guard. I gasped, but quickly regained my composure. Excuse me, but is this your letter? Yes, how did you know? When I asked the receptionist about this, she said the young lady took it rather hard when she didn't get accepted. Although I could not see Ilmari and Care's reactions, I had a feeling they promptly agreed with that remark. Did he witness the bench scene from earlier? Being reminded of my rejection was enough to get me on the verge of tears again, but I nodded and tried to regain some dignity.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm sorry for not knowing about the new regulations, and he shook his head. I was never a stickler for those changes. I find them too limiting. Why, back in my day, he trailed off and coughed. However, I can't just knight anyone. If you possess the same skill and potential as a student of the Oliver Knight Academy, I could possibly make an exception here. I felt my heart stop as I tried to prevent a squeal of excitement. However, even if you are Lady Bayard's daughter, I'm not going easy on you. You will still need to take a test, and I'm pressed for time. Would you prefer a test of sword skills or a written exam? Sword, sword, sword! He glanced at me in bafflement, but smiled. Just like your mother. I worked under her for years. If she knew about the new guidelines, she'd probably be livid. He gestured to the headquarters. Then, if you're ready. I glanced back at Omari in care, resisting the urge to jump. I'll be back soon. Please wait here. Right. Well, that was a serendipitous event. I'm glad things worked out in the end. Are you kidding? Everyone entering and exiting the building saw her embarrassing display. I'm not surprised someone decided to see why there was a girl dissolving into the bench from all her tears. One-track mind, that girl. Same as you. I hope she comes back soon, though. She did promise to take me to that glittering shop. What's a cavity anyway?
Look,
By the way, Omari.
Oh.
Omari, that's what I said.
Of course.
You're right.
thanks.
About earlier, you fought rather competently. That surprised me. I never thought my spells would come in handy that way. I'm glad it worked out.
I have a question.
Why did you and Orly burst out laughing anyway? I admit it was a rather interesting scare tactic, but I don't think that was its intention. It was nothing. I'm curious. Nothing important. We were thinking about me being naked. Hey, you two. Did it work out? I mustered a small smile and rubbed the back of my head. Oh no, she failed her exam.
Yeah.
Maybe not as I'd like, but not all was lost. Basically, he was impressed, but he can't give me a rank without more proof. I'll be helping out at the Argent Valaire Guild as a knight in training. Okay. Listen, we're almost there. I can do quests and little tasks, but I can't be included in any major orders. They said to compare it to the final year at their academy. I didn't exactly get that comment, as I had never been enrolled before, but I guess that meant I could consider myself close to graduating. Explaining the situation solidified some of my confidence.
I did it!
I even got a little badge. I love it. I want to see the badge. Ilmari clapped while Kara smiled, very briefly. So we can go to the next altar? Yes, Kara. However, it's getting late, so things will have to be postponed. But I still intend to keep my promise. I'll take you to the altar first thing in the morning, and then I'll show you the marketplace. I'm happy with that arrangement. That works. Oh, and I even got my own lodging, like a real knight. But I can't let unauthorized people in with me. I could find an inn for you both, and...
What?
An inn? Where you can sleep indoors for a price. Oh, we'd pay them. No, we'll be fine outside. Care? I'd rather sleep outside anyway.
Right.
It's autumn now, but it's still pretty warm. However, please tell me when it's starting to get too cold to remain outside at night. Then I can arrange an inn. I'm not sure where you'll go currently. The gardens seem nice, so you could easily get some sleep there. Just don't get into any trouble when I'm not around. Like a mother, our cultures may be different, but we do have common sense. His gaze briefly flickered to Care, as if second-guessing himself. I'll be watching over him anyway. What's that supposed to mean? I went to the lodge with the others and pointed to the second floor where I would be staying. It was essentially like an inn. Female knights temporarily staying in Oliver live here. While they remain here, they can do various tasks around the city for money or little rewards. Think of it as training for all the virtues a knight should represent, so they will be honorable and righteous both on the battlefield and while protecting civilians. And of course, you'll help me. You two will be able to learn everything about Heavenkind without it getting too boring. If I didn't become a knight in training, we'd probably just wander aimlessly hoping for something to do, and I don't think Care's master would accept that as a meaningful experience.
Of course.
Makes sense? Is this title really that important? Yes. Care opened his mouth to interject, but seemed to have thought better about it. Instead, he rubbed at his temples and exhaled loudly. Try to include something more battle-oriented. I don't know if fighting other Heavenkind would count as an ideal experience. I'll see what I can do. For now, let's get to that altar tomorrow and see the marketplace as well. I'm exhausted. So much happened today.
Of course.
I'll see you in the morning.
Thanks.
Don't oversleep, Care. At least I won't be poked with a stick. As Omari headed for the garden, Care took a step, then paused before glancing back.
Look,
Is this one of your reluctantly admitting something confessions again?
shut up!
It's not. Fine, it is. It's okay, Care. It shows I'm understanding you better. Is it about the fight? Yes, I might have acted harshly with you when you were obviously feeling down. It's okay. I guess my reaction was a little immature. I'm surprised you didn't leave me there. Believe me, the thought crossed my mind, but Omari wouldn't have approved.
Oh, sorry about that.
For snapping at you. We do seem to rile each other up. I'll try to be a better friend to you. Friend?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already been through so much together. I consider both you and Omari friends. My words seemed to have startled him. He awkwardly mumbled a goodbye and departed. I guess that notion never occurred to him. Well, Aurelie, you're a knight in training now. Time to start acting like one. Jumping up, I entered the lodge, eager for the next day and the adventures it would bring. Yippee! New chapter. Chapter 6. Knight in Training. Ooh. Okay, this must be a different cave. I was like, why are we back in the cave? Now this is a real cave. Droplets of water echoed in the puddles as we carefully walked through the cavern. Care led the way happily. You sure? Looks like the last one we were in. Thank you, Aurelie. Are you kidding? There's more tunnels, its sediments are mostly limestone, and the roof is higher.
Of course.
Leave it to an earth dragon to know his surroundings. I like underwater caves, they make great layers. The numerous branching tunnels made me nervous, but my companions seemed unfazed by it all. I don't get it. It's like you know where you're going. Dragon intuition? Omari shot me a penitent look. We actually came here earlier thanks to a Heavenkind's help. So much for that promise to not wander off.
I'm sorry.
I know, but Care was determined and I didn't want to let him out of my sight. However, Master Bedros wishes for him to be accompanied by a Heavenkind at each altar to prove he's not going straight from one cave to the other. And not just any Heavenkind, but one that has been there with him the whole time. Wouldn't your word be good enough, Ilmari? You're overseeing the whole thing.
Well...
Sounds like you have no influence here. Something like that. I arched an eyebrow dubiously, but before I could question further, Care announced we had arrived. There was a small carved statue of an earth dragon set on a block. Care gestured accusingly at it before turning to me. Do they even try to make impressive ones? Think we would be pleased with this? A life-size one would be more worthy. Go humbly beg for his forgiveness. I gave him a gentle shove and stuck out my tongue. He glared, but his usual intensity had diminished somewhat. I planned to remain where I was, but I saw Omari retreat to give Care some space. Not staying?
I'd rather not.
I don't want to feel like I'm eavesdropping on a private conversation. I reflected back on the argument at the first altar. It doesn't seem that personal to me, and you can only hear Care speak. That did not convince Ilmari, and he walked back until he vanished around the bend. Maybe Ilmari had a point. As I turned,
Whoa!
where are you going? To give you some privacy? Did you forget already? You have to stay. You're Heavenkind.
Right!
I shifted my weight until I felt comfortable, and I watched Care kneel down, then close his eyes to focus. Moments later, his ears perked up. Yes, she's here now. So picky. Huh. Yeah, we left Barry. It helped something called a carriage get to Oliver. We were attacked. Heavenkind fists are pretty useful. I covered my mouth as I smirked at the comment. From there, Care chronicled the sights and sounds of the plaza. Heavenkind like to pretend to do things they actually can't do for the sake of people clapping. They're driven to perform odd things. Like eating fire. Is that even edible? He also mentioned the presence of other dragonkind. He concluded his account and, after a few minutes, stood up. He placed one hand on his hip as he stared at the statue, deep in thought. When I was sure the conversation was over, I approached him and leaned in. Is that everything? Yeah. Did he say how many altars to visit afterward? Thankfully, there's only a few left, and there's many around Oliver. So I leave it in your hands to get some interesting night quests.
Let's do this!
You can count on me. And I think I still owe you a visit to the marketplace. We can restock on some supplies. Like apple tarts. We rejoined Ilmari and returned to the bustling market of central Oliver. What I thought would only take the morning ended up going straight to mid-afternoon, given how much we explored all the various shops and stalls. At the end, I was pretty much haggard. I slumped down on the bench between my companions, blankly gazing at the sky. It's like babysitting kids. Overgrown kids. Ilmari happily clutched a small glass-blown bubble. He held it up, and its transparent blue surface shimmered like waves in the sunlight.
Wow.
I still can't believe you bought me this. I've never had anything Heavenkind made before. How could I not? You were making that face. This one? His expression changed, assuming the epitome of sweetness and innocence that had crumbled my defenses before. Yes, that one. Maybe he wasn't so sweet and innocent if he was using that face to his advantage. Care nonchalantly stuffed his face with various desserts and pastries. I placed a hand over my forehead before sliding it down to my chin in aggravation. I said eat a few, not all of them. At least we found something he likes. I'd prefer if it was something that wouldn't give him a sugar rush. Care pursed his lips, but said nothing since he was still chewing. Now that we were all settled, I stood up and stretched, Argent Valere on my mind. I'm going to check the guild and see if there's any postings I can accept for tomorrow. Get something to do with fighting. I'd prefer if it was a more peaceful one. I'll see what I can do. I doubt I can find one that will please you both. I gave them a quick wave, intending not to take long as I headed for the guild. Inside the headquarters, I surveyed the giant board, hoping to find something that would catch my eye. Which one? Which mission should we do? I get to pick? Oh no. Okay. Battle tournament. Bragging rights, basically. Aviteral feathers. I play the lead for ballet, and I simply must have some aviteral feathers to adorn my black swan costume. Okay. Oh no. 10 jars of honey from red bees' hives for a new recipe I've been developing. Sapphire salmon are back in season, however my back is sore. Okay. That might be something that both Care and Ilmari would like. Ilmari would like the water, and then Care might get really excited about like catching fish, you know? It's like battling, but not. My chickens have been disappearing lately. Okay. I need to find this important person now. But the reward is only 10 coins. Which, like, I'm not really looking at these for, like, monetary purposes or anything, but, like, it just gives off a strange vibe. Gather 5 nightshades. I need these completely harmless herbs for something not sinister. I feel like that would work on me a little bit more if I did not know that nightshades are poison. I think seems so weird that I can actually choose. I think I'm gonna go with the fishin' one, because that might be something that both of them enjoy. And also 75 coins sounds like a good reward versus some of these like bragging rights. I don't know that it's really worth it. My second might be honey glazed apple tarts. But I'm worried. I don't know what a red bee is. I don't know if that's like, I'm imagining a massive giant bee, like Beedrill sized bee. And that's a little bit scary. So let's go fishing. Oh, okay. I never had the patience for fishing, and this task nearly took us all day. Okay. I didn't know I was going to complete it that quickly. While Amari watched the bait, Care thought it would be hilarious to push him into the river. Oh, this was a mistake. Okay. We learned that Amari couldn't swim in his Heavenkind form. Care learned how far Amari's neck could extend from shore in dragon form. Ilmari decided it was faster if he just found the fish on his own. I had to shout at him not to bother the boats, though. He seemed to enjoy this mission a lot. Okay. Oh, I get to do many missions. Okay, tell me about the apple tarts then. We could do one for each, you know? I thought maybe Care would enjoy that, because there's something aggressive about fishing when you like actually catch a fish and you're bringing it up, you know? I thought maybe Care would enjoy that, but let's go for some apple tarts. As soon as I read this post out loud, Care wouldn't have it any other way. Getting the honey from the aggressive bees was impossible until I mentioned that bees didn't like smoke and that it would drive them away. Understandable. I just noticed Care's face. Oh my fucking god. I'm sorry. I looked at Ilmari and Orally. I looked at all of the apple tarts that Care was eating, but I did not actually look at Care's face until just now. Wow. But I'm glad you're enjoying yourself with your reward. Ilmari thought conjuring fog would produce a similar result, but Care found out it didn't at all. Luckily, the baker felt so guilty or scared that he doubled the reward for Care. That's good. Ilmari and I secretly wanted to nibble on the tarts, but decided not to after all. Despite the stings, Care was satisfied and claimed it was the best thing he ever tasted. I'm glad. We get to do another one? Okay. The next one that sounds interesting is the Aviteral feathers. I don't know why, just like, that sounds like a fun adventure, and we've done Aviterals before, so should be good. Oh look, an Aviteral. Huh. Since Ilmari banned any quests that involved fighting other Heavenkind, we decided to focus on wildlife. After that rather embarrassing encounter with an Aviteral back when I couldn't even walk, I decided to get my revenge. I like that this one is narrated by Care for some reason. It was so bizarre fighting an animal that could usually be crushed under my claws, not immediately eating it either. Punching it out in midair was oddly satisfying though, and even Aura and Ilmari could only stand around and gawk, or shake their heads. I don't get the appeal of decorating yourself in feathers, though. Heavenkind culture makes no sense. How many of these do I get? Okay, next one. Let's go... Do I get to do all of these? Let's do save the chickens. Oh my god. Look at them. Ugh. This mission was a rather simple and boring one. All we had to do was mend some holes in the fence that the farmer overlooked. Oh, that is quite simple and boring. Ilmari was captivated by the chickens, though. He wouldn't stop following them and pester the tiny yellow things even more. Aura warned him repeatedly, and Ilmari learned that if one annoyed the chickens long enough, they would gang up on you. It was nice to see his curiosity get him into trouble. What are you doing? Oh. Heavenkind sure keep a lot of animals for food and clothing products. Aura accidentally mentioned a sport called cow tipping, and I immediately tried it out. Of course you did. We didn't get our egg reward after that. That's okay, I don't know what we would do with a bunch of eggs. That was the last one, okay. Once again, I scanned the bulletin board, sighing longingly as I gazed at the job postings that only accepted true knights. I rubbed my badge, clearly labeled Kit. That's my name. Wishing it was the official one. Well, I can't dwell on it now. I need to do a number of missions before they consider me. In the corner of the guild was a group of knights talking quietly amongst themselves. One of them looked at me before he averted his eyes. The girl beside him giggled. Okay. Am I getting bullied? Hello? Care, who stood beside me, glared daggers at the group, gritting his teeth menacingly. What are you doing? Stop that. He balked and averted his gaze, but said nothing. His ears twitched.
Stay focused.
Ah, there's a patrol one. Are you up for a nice long walk around the city? I guess. Or I could ask Ilmari. However, I think he wants to observe the glass blowers again.
Leave it to me.
Thanks.
I handed the job posting to the receptionist, who detailed the route and gave me a small map. It's more of a training exercise than a real patrol, but it's something at least. I rejoined Care, and we exited the bustling city of Oliver, entering the long, sprawling farmland that extended beyond it. There was a well-worn path, so the map was hardly needed. Care and I walked side by side, taking in the scenery. Almost all of the leaves were now a vivid fire of yellow, red, and orange. I can't believe it was summer when we left Barry. So much has happened, don't you think? When we first met, you barely talked to me. I'm glad it's different now. Or not. I took a wide step forward and turned around, causing him to halt. I stared at him dubiously. What is it? You sulk a lot, but now you're sulking while deep in thought. That's not like you. You don't think. Out with it. What's on your mind?
Look,
How do you handle it? Handle what? What people have been saying about you. Well, I don't hear it directly a lot. You have better hearing than I do. They say you used your mother's name to get where you are, that you're nothing like her, and that you'll never live up to Thank you, Care. I really needed to be reminded. What made you want to walk the same path she did anyway? Why do you want to become a knight so badly? Finally, the question both boys had avoided asking me directly. I inhaled deeply as I prepared my meaningful and profound answer. Well, you see, knights are so cool and they have swords and shiny armor and stuff, and everyone looks up to them. They always do the honorable thing, right wrongs, and stop evil in its tracks, and they help people with their problems. They fight all kinds of monsters, slay dragons, and...
whoa.
Wait, what? And rescue fair maidens and lads in distress who... About that last part where fall in love with the knights and the knights sigh and go, I'm sorry, but my heart belongs to the path of justice and righteousness. Oh, lady knight, they cry, then take my rose as a symbol of... I get it. See? I practically bounced on my heels, gazing up at Care elatedly. That's why I want to be one so bad. Aren't you doing most of that already? Well, besides slaying dragons and leaving behind a trail of broken hearts. I guess so. I want the title, too. I want it to be official, recognized by the Sun and Moon Council. What about you? Aren't there any dreams you're chasing? You seem like the free-spirited type. It's because I am. He stretched his arms up and sat back on the grass. At first, I was going to chide him for taking a break during a patrol, but I decided a few minutes of rest was acceptable. I sat next to him. I'm not up for this knowledge keeper business. I hate it, but my master insists. Knowledge keeper? Really? You spent all this time with us and you still know nothing about dragonkind. Hey, you never tell me stuff, and Omari... Well, you know Omari. Always goes back to Heavenkind talk. Dragons have a long history, and we record everything orally. Everything we know is passed down to a dragon called a knowledge keeper who will specialize in something. Could be plants, animals, traditional stories, important events. He sighed in defeat and propped up an elbow, nestling his chin in his palm. It's boring. Tucking my knees up, I hugged them and leaned in to get a good look at his face. He peered back at me impassively. I don't have the concentration or focus to retain all that knowledge. When I was younger, they thought I'd be good at it and my master picked me. Obviously not, though. I find it easier to stop caring at this point. If I don't care, they don't care. Doesn't seem to work on Master Bedros, though. Wonder what he even sees in me at this point. How do you do it, with all that expectations placed on you?
I'm not sure.
This is the first time I've considered my mom's name a burden more than a help. I guess I just accept it. I know I won't ever live up to her legacy, and people perceive that. I can't force someone to see me for only me. However, I have support from my family, the people in Barry, and of course you guys. They love me for who I am, and they're the ones that matter. So, Care, how do you view me? As Aurelie or a pale imitation of Lady Bayard? Why are you asking me? I don't know enough about your mom's legacy to compare you to. You're doing fine. I think you're a good knight in your own right.
Thanks.
Knight in training, but you'll never end up slaying a dragon, though. Oh? With how often you annoy me, I could cross that off of my knight accomplishments list pretty easily. Please, even in this form, I can take you on. Is that a challenge? He stood up and bared his teeth, widening his stance.
Bring it.
Oh boy. I sighed, wondering if this was a good idea, but I also got up. I wiped the grass off of my skirt and touched my sword hilt. What's this, relying on a weapon? I'm unarmed. This is hardly fair. You know I'm not good with hand-to-hand combat. His taunting smirk, though, caused me to toss my scabbard aside impetuously.
Let's do this.
This is a stupid idea. I bent my knees and clenched my fists, wondering how to start the fight. So, do we count to 3, or do we just wait for... Damn. Straight down, you did not have a chance. Before I could finish my sentence, Kare rammed into me, tackling me to the ground. The wind was knocked out of me as he pinned my shoulders. I glowered at him. I win. I wasn't done talking. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to concentrate.
Whoa.
What are you doing? I opened one eye. Something I should have done before. Feeling my strength increase, I effortlessly pushed him off. He gawked in surprise. I rolled over him, though I now straddled him with his arms held down. I smirked victoriously.
They did it!
Too easy. Another tussle and he leaned over me again, his long hair grazing my cheek.
Bring it.
If I was in my true form, you would have been crushed under my foot. That was kind of the same sound. I wrestled him, slamming him down so I was on top again. Even in your dragon form, if I had my sword, I would have skewered you a dozen times. Please, it would feel like splinters. Hey, splinters hurt a lot. Have you ever got... Whoa! We rotated again, and this time he pinned my wrists. Unable to wriggle out of his grip, I sighed and rested my head on the grass as my little focus spell faded. If Kare's body was that of a normal heavenkind, I would have stood a better chance. I'm sure. You win. Only because I wasn't allowed my sword. Right. Whatever makes you sleep soundly at night. His grasp on me loosened, but he did not budge. Instead, his eyes examined me intensely before lingering over my neck. Hello? He inched closer and I panicked, shaking my head frantically. Wait, don't take a bite out of me. I already said you won. I struggled and he hastily let go, rolling off of me. That was invading some serious personal space there. What did my mom tell me to do when men got that close to me? Oh wait, I don't have my sword on me, so her advice would have been useless. I rubbed my neck self-consciously as I sat up, while Kare angled his body away. Hello? After retrieving my scabbard, I noticed that Kare paced around impatiently. I agree, we've rested enough. Let's finish this patrol and go home. Kare? Yeah, sure. He rubbed his forehead as if contemplating something. I didn't comment since I knew he would insist it was nothing and refused to answer. Instead, I gave him a friendly slap to the shoulder to help him focus on the task. Orally, I love you so much.
Right.
Let's go. You can tell your master that the Heavenkind like long, pointless walks afterwards. He mustered a weak smile but said nothing. We finished the patrol and I reported it to the receptionist. Kare remained taciturn the whole time, barely said a word when we parted. I wonder if it was something that I said, or maybe he finds patrols utterly boring. Chapter 7. The bonds we share. Ooh, okay, the cave again. Hello? What should I tell him this time? The three of us were once again at one of the altars while Care mentally counted reports on his fingers. What about when I took you to the blacksmith? Seeing all those different types of weapons and armor was pretty neat. Or maybe how the Heavenkind keep written records. Elmari cradled the book he held, which contained a popular children's fairy tale. Elmari, why do you keep carrying that around? You can't even read yet. I'm learning. How many more visits or trips do you need to make anyway, Care? You're getting close, right? Something like that. Almost there, just a few more trips. I'm not sure you need to do this at all. Maybe you only needed like one, maybe the second one, but honestly, I don't know. I'm starting to get suspicious. Your master sure is vague. I hope Master Bedros isn't just stringing Care along indefinitely. Care glowered and we instantly hushed up, but exchanged sly smiles when he turned his back. Wait here. Or you as well. But I was the guest of honor at all your little reports before, and you were getting better at them too. Although I wish you would stop hinting about how you would like to go see a battle tournament in action. I'm not accepting those postings, and that's final. Care grumbled some more, but left anyway. I waited behind with Omari, who perused the book despite the low lighting in the cave. I unsheathed my sword and began some practice swings. My footsteps echoed softly through the tunnels as I readjusted my stance every so often. The blade sliced through the air and I paused momentarily to look at Elmari. Hey, Elmari, do you think Care is hiding something? Possibly. And you're not the least bit interested in knowing? He closed his book and sighed contemplatively. I'm sure he has his reasons. He's gruff, but he's a good person deep down and straightforward. Does it bother you that much? I thumped my chest with a fist.
Right!
Of course it does. A knight is honest and forthright, and I value those virtues. Ah, yes, the virtues. You know, for someone highly interested in Heavenkind culture, you sure don't ask me much about knights.
Well...
Although you're very passionate about the subject, I wouldn't want to bother you too much. I sheathed my sword, my eyes filled with determination. But it wouldn't be a bother at all. I would love to tell you everything there is to know.
Oh.
His ears perked up and he glanced down the tunnel. Oh, he's done. He should be here soon. Sure enough, Care re-emerged, proclaiming that the conversation with his master had ended on a high note. Let's go, okay? What'd you tell him this time? About the time when you and Omari...
Oh.
What about me? You actually mentioned me? We both glanced at Omari in bafflement. He immediately piped down.
I'm sorry.
I didn't think Care would ever bring me up. Why wouldn't I? We've been together long enough, and you're supervising me. That is fair. Why would Omari be, quote-unquote, supervising if Care's little quest to talk to the statues wasn't real? Right. As we started to leave, Elmari halted in his tracks and glanced back apprehensively to where the altar was located.
Well...
Is it permissible if you two go ahead without me? I wanted to examine the statue before, but I didn't want to interrupt Care. That's fine by me, Care. He gave a careless shrug and Elmari smiled gratefully.
Thank you.
I'll see you later. He vanished down the tunnel and Care rubbed his chin and thought. Hey, Aura, do you think Elmari isn't telling us something? Oh, 100%. There's two things he's not telling us. What do you mean? Elmari wouldn't hide things from us. You know how he is. I guess. I ushered Care towards the entrance and thrust some coins into his hand. I'll stay here. You go ahead and reward yourself with some apple tarts. There's enough for you to buy 5 of them. He jingled the money disappointingly. Just 5? That's more than plenty. You shouldn't indulge in sugar-coated pastries so much. Or you'll be the first dragon with a cavity. I gave him a gentle push, and he reluctantly stepped forward, briefly glancing over his shoulder before continuing to the entrance. I folded my arms and turned in the direction of the statue, wondering if I should confront Omari or overlook his behavior. Curiosity won over, and I tiptoed towards the rear of the cave once again. What's the point of trying to eavesdrop? They have better hearing than I do anyway. I heard Elmari's faint voice as I continued down the tunnel. It sounded contrite. I felt a pang of worry as I was torn between quickening my pace and remaining furtive. I sidled against the cave wall until I could hear Elmari more clearly.
I'm sorry.
Master Kaya. I leaned over, carefully eyeing Elmari. I half expected him to be kneeling like Care usually did, but instead he stood straight with a rigid back. He resembled a child being reprimanded for running off into the forbidden woods after a stern warning not to. He nodded solemnly, arms hanging limply at his sides.
Oh.
What? But it wasn't anything. I didn't think it'd be that serious. I'm merely an apprentice. I know it was imprudent of me. Yes. Can I at least stay until Care returns? What? Then this whole time? I sensed the conversation reaching a conclusion and decided to slip out. As I crept away, my scabbard smacked against the rock wall. I uttered a curse before I could stop myself. Drat! Darn it. I slapped my forehead with an open palm. Elmari must have heard that. There was no point in sneaking away now. Orly, are you there? I know you were listening in the whole time. I turned as Elmari approached me. I gave him a sheepish look.
Oh, sorry about that.
I heard you apologizing to your master. I'm assuming you did something? He shuffled nervously and rubbed his upper arm.
Well...
Yeah, she wasn't impressed with me at all. When I said I was sent to watch over Care, I lied about that. So you were never actually ordered to supervise Care? Right, I basically ran away and joined you. Now it makes sense why you were avoiding those altar visits. But why would you need to? 'Cause it's not fair. Elmari's tempestuous outburst left me stunned, and his voice echoed throughout the tunnel. His hands trembled, and he clenched a fist so hard that his knuckles turned white. It seemed as if all the frustration and bitterness he had concealed were finally beginning to surface. Why did he get to go? No, he was forced. While I was willing. I studied the Heavenkind language, observed as much as I could, practiced the transformation spell, and yet he's the one who got sent. And Care doesn't care. He's not interested in Heavenkind or building a rapport with them. He quivered, visibly. He'd probably felt ambivalent towards Care for quite some time, and yet had never expressed it. I couldn't bear to see him so upset. I stepped forward and embraced Elmari, drawing him close. He shifted in the hug and rested his hands against my back, burying his face into my shoulder. I scrambled for something that could reassure him, but my mind was blank. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's not like me to begrudge someone. And I'm tired of feeling this way. When Master Kaya mentioned what happened between Care and Master Bedros, I was envious and decided to see for myself. After Care casually asked if I was sent, I instantly saw an opportunity, so I said yes. I'm sorry I never told you both. I guess I was worried that if you found out, you wouldn't want me around anymore. I playfully ruffled his hair. Oh, please, like we would do that. Care might. I wouldn't let him. I could feel his shoulders shudder as he chuckled against me. Master Bedros is very open-minded about Heavenkind, but Master Kaya is too wary. I begged her multiple times to send me as a representative, but she kept saying I wasn't ready. My heart sunk since I could relate to that, constantly being told how one wasn't prepared. I reluctantly parted from Ilmari, but gave both of his shoulders a reassuring squeeze. Maybe she was concerned about you. I could be wrong, but maybe she thought you weren't ready because you would get too emotionally invested or attached. I would not. He meekly quieted down, but then reflected on the comment.
Well...
Maybe. I admit I tend to rely more on my feelings despite trying to be more sensible. I also get distracted a lot, and I'm too nosy for my own good. If I'm trying to help build a relationship between Dragonkind and Heavenkind, I need to be more rational. I don't know how Care treats everything so objectively. Objectively or with indifference in general. We chuckled. So what happens now? Will you be ordered back or will you be allowed to stay? He sighed despondently and pressed his pointer fingers together. I'm allowed to stay until Care returns. However, when I get back, punishment will be severe. I didn't think it'd be that bad, but...
What? No.
Why? Why will they punish you? I'm a knowledge keeper in training. I don't even specialize in anything yet. I just have the basics. However, a future knowledge keeper running away is, well, think of it as someone being responsible for all the books vanishing from the library, and it's the single source of knowledge people have access to in the city.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of important things would be gone. Culture, art, literature. A knowledge keeper's responsibility is to inform other Dragonkind, therefore they stay enlightened and pass knowledge on to their kin. And to make sure detrimental knowledge is only imparted wisely, since it could be used against others. My action could be viewed as treachery. He forced a small smile to comfort me, but I could tell he was extremely nervous about the consequences. Don't worry about it, Orly. This was my decision. I have no regrets. All right, but if there's anything I can do to help, please, let me. Or let me know. I didn't read the no until the last second. I'm sorry you felt like you couldn't tell us. I don't want you to be burdened with all this on your own.
Thank you.
Besides, I should start acting more rational. I've let my emotions get the better of me regarding certain... It's nothing, Orly. Oh, well, it's something, but I need to talk to Care first. Don't worry, I won't press you about it. I trust you, Ilmari. I flashed him a genuine smile and his cheeks flushed modestly. And I'm sure Care trusts you too, even if he doesn't like admitting anything. It was then we heard a loud sneeze, followed by Care's gruff voice. What are you two still doing here? That's not how he said it, but that was the general gist of it. Care, I thought you were going to get apple tarts. I already did that. I'm still hungry. Hope I'm not coming down with something. He rubbed his nose, then urged us to follow him outside. Ilmari and I exchanged amused glances, and I gave him a pat on the back. Good luck with the talk.
Thank you.
We'll see how it works out. I doubt he'll try to chase you away at this point. You two seem to get along now. Once we were in the open air, I fished out some more coins and thrust them into Omari's hand. Here, you know what to do. I gave him a sportive shove to urge him onward, then waved to Care. I have some errands to do. You two have fun without me for now. Care shot me an inquisitive look, but said nothing. It wasn't too unusual for me to run off to the guild headquarters or squeeze in some solo sword training. Come to think of it, all I had to do was announce I was doing night training and they would respectfully leave me alone, quickly. I might as well do that anyway. I mentally wished Elmari good luck and left on a different path. Ugh, my shoulders hurt, my back hurts, my everything hurts. I flopped down onto the bed of my assigned room. I groaned and rolled over, staring vacantly at the ceiling. I spent the rest of the afternoon training with some real knights, and now my thoughts drifted to Care and Elmari. I wondered how their conversation went. I glanced out the window, which provided a nice view of the gardens and the dark blue sky. Should I check up on them? Grabbing my blanket to use as a shawl, I exited the lodge and took a stroll in the garden. They would usually be here. Sometimes Care slept in the trees while Amari nestled by a trunk. After some more searching, I was about to give up when I spotted a leg by one of the trees. Remaining quiet, I tiptoed over and saw Care sleeping peacefully against the bark. Beside him was Elmari, his head leaning against Care's shoulder. Aw, I guess it worked out. It was then I noticed how cold the air felt against my cheeks. Many of the trees were half bare and leaves piled up on the grass. A subtle crisp freshness lingered with each breath. It was definitely autumn.
Oh no.
Are they getting cold? I didn't want to disturb them, but decided to leave my blanket. After I knelt down, I carefully spread it out and was about to drape it over their bodies. Hello. However, Care stirred. As he sat up, Elmari slipped off of his shoulder and fell back onto the trunk.
Oh, sorry about that.
I didn't mean to wake you two. Elmari groaned, then rubbed one eye, giving Care a pounding glare.
Oh.
I think I said that wrong. Pouting, I think I said? Pouting. How? What was that for? He trailed off when he spotted me. Care clicked his tongue in embarrassment. What are you doing here? I wanted to see if the worst I've ever stuttered tonight. I wanted to see if you two were all right or if you were getting cold. Elmari lowered his eyelids in disappointment. That's all? For a second, I thought you were going to join us. Let's have a cuddle party in the middle of the gardens, sure. I dropped the blanket hastily and jumped back, waving my hands frantically in front of me. No, Orally, go ahead. No, I was just checking up on you. Havenkind don't, engage in snuggling with friends. You could, but we've been with you for quite some time now, and the fact we've never bonded feels like we're distant. My eyes darted between them hesitantly. Does it really feel like that? Care glanced down, saying nothing, while Amari gave me a pleading look. After some... what? Vacillation? Never heard that word before. I sighed and grabbed the blanket before taking a step towards them.
Yeah.
Fine, but just for a little while. I turned around right as Elmari shuffled out of the way to give me room to sit down between them. Heck yes! Dragon sandwich! Let's go! I don't plan to stay here all night. You will. I trailed off as Elmari leaned back against the tree, close enough that his arm gently grazed mine. My shoulder reclined against Care, who had one leg sprawled straight and another tucked in. So, I guess Elmari talked to you earlier, Care. Yeah. For a little one, he sure carried a lot of resentment towards me. There was a small groan of protest from Elmari's lips. I'm older than you. It was obvious he heard our talk, but was too tired to join the conversation. I chuckled. It's not like he was the only one hiding something. Really now? What would you reluctantly like to admit to me this time?
Shut up!
I stuck out my tongue to show him I was just teasing him.
Whoops, sorry about that.
So, what is it? He closed his eyes and grit his teeth, and I could hear him inhale deeply.
Look,
I could have returned earlier if I wanted to. The curse was offered to be lifted a while ago. No, I knew. Wait, you can turn back into an earth dragon anytime? Yeah, though I still need to visit an altar first since my master still has to remove the curse. But if I do, I won't be able to assume Heavenkind form without Master Bedros' help. Unlike Elmari, I didn't bother learning the transformation spell. And of course, he probably wouldn't transform me a second time, not after I refused to return right away.
Oh no.
Wait, so both of you are in huge trouble now? He suppressed a chuckle. Something like that. Then why aren't you going back? There's no reason for you to stay here anymore. Aura.
leave it to me.
I'm not returning until Omari is satisfied learning about Heavenkind culture and until you become a knight. That is the nicest thing Care has ever said this entire game. Oh my god. I want to see it. You as a real knight. Wow. My heart leapt up in my chest and my lower lip quivered. Care. You really care about that? My dream? It's important to you, right? Care. I leaned over and embraced Care, genuinely touched. I sensed his arms hovering awkwardly around me.
Whoa!
What is this parasitic gesture? What are you doing? It's called a hug. Heavenkind use it to express affection between friends. And right now I'm really, really happy. I'm probably going to cry. Please don't cry. I never know how to act when that happens. And what does one do in reply to this hug? Usually hug back. I felt his arms waver before they enveloped my upper back. Where is my CG? We remained in this position for a few minutes. Care gently nudged my forehead with his before pulling away in embarrassment. Where is my CG? I adjusted the blanket to make sure Ilmari was comfortable. You guys, I don't want you two getting in more trouble because of me.
Leave it to me.
It's our decision. It's not like we'll be reprimanded further. We'll remain with you until you return to Barry, at least.
Thanks.
It felt strange. Just the notion of them leaving seemed far off, and I realized I had never really thought about it until now. I closed my eyelids and nestled against Care's arm, while one hand rested on Ilmari's shoulder. These two. They're both wonderful friends. Why is this the only option that I'm getting? It kind of feels weird. I let out a small chuckle as my eyes drifted between their sleeping faces. How did these two become so close to my heart in such a short time? I let out a happy sigh, extremely thankful that I had met both of them. I guess I could remain here for a few more minutes. You're falling asleep with them, 100%. Oh? Chapter 8. I thought there were only 7 chapters. Okay. I don't know why for some reason I thought there were only 7 chapters. Once again, I stared at the bulletin board, trying to find something, anything. I could tell it was nearing the end of fall because the herb gathering postings were gone, along with the farm help. I want to be a knight before the postings are all requests for shoveling snow. Come on, something, anything. Another battle tournament? No, if I give into that, Care wins. It was then I noticed the posting that recruited both knights and knights in training. I hastily snatched it up, almost knocking down other postings in my rush. Another escort mission. Haven't done that since we left Barry. Merchant Ventures? Name sounds familiar. Oh, it's a delivery to Norvale. That's pretty far. Swaying back and forth, I weighed my options. On one hand, it was a good opportunity to mingle with real knights. On the other, it meant leaving Oliver. I wondered whether my friends would be up for another long journey. I reread the posting multiple times before zeroing in on the deadline. Pretty soon. I don't like making snap decisions without Care and Omari's input first. Maybe if I hurry, I could. The receptionist, who leaned over with one elbow on the table, raised an eyebrow, amused by my indecisiveness. I showed the posting to her, hoping for a second opinion. What do you think of this? Oh, this one. It'll definitely earn you some points towards your graduation to knight status. You're pretty close, too, and this is a high-ranking request. Actually, you know if you accept that posting, you'll most likely be knighted. I slapped the posting down on the counter.
Right.
Done. She accepted the paper and gave me a smaller note with directions, a meeting time, and names. Wow, looks like quite a few people accepted this one. Sounds important. Apparently, the contents are very valuable, hence all the bodyguards. There was something nagging at me, but the excitement of accepting such a critical task made me giddy. I practically sprinted out of the guild in the direction of the gardens, hoping to find Care and Omari there. To Norvale, huh? I don't know, Orly.
Yeah.
It's a little out of the way, but it will be a good experience, and we'll see a new town. I think they specialize in mining and all that. I'm sure the dragon altar there would be impressive. Not that you need to see them anymore, Care.
I don't care.
Omari. What was the merchant company again? Merchant Ventures? A dark expression flickered across Omari's face. Is that the same group we escorted when we left Barry? Oh, you're right, we did help them before. Are you concerned it will be dangerous again? Don't worry, there'll be even more bodyguards this time around. However, Omari frantically shook his head as I explained. It's not that. When we escorted that carriage and when that box fell, I saw its contents. I'm pretty sure it was dragon remains. That's what I thought. A tense atmosphere engulfed us, and it took me a moment to register everything.
What? No.
That can't be. Are you absolutely positive?
The hell?
And you didn't tell us or our masters? Keeping something like this secret is... Hear me out. I know I shouldn't have remained quiet about it. At first, I thought I was wrong. I've never stumbled upon dragon remains myself, and I'm not that familiar with Serapes. But the feathers, the bones... I knew if I reported this to Master Kaya, we would both immediately be ordered back, even if I was just guessing. No exceptions. I was selfish. I didn't want the journey to end so abruptly.
I'm sorry.
My master was right. I wasn't ready to be a representative for Dragonkind. If I hope to build a better relationship between our races, I shouldn't disregard acts like this. Care peered at me dubiously. You had no idea something like this was going on?
What? No.
None. I wasn't aware of this at all, I paused, realizing I treaded on delicate territory. Foul implications aside, is there something wrong about possessing dragon remains? What a sentence, Orally. Care and Omari stared at me as if I uttered a blasphemy in the church. I glanced down in chagrin. No one should be possessing dragon remains.
Well...
What he means is, when a dragonkind dies, their body eventually returns to Ishtara. Earth dragons become mountains, Aries become the rivers and lakes. Which is why we prefer to die in peace, where no one can find our remains. It's sacrilegious to disturb them, and any dragonkind that accidentally discovers them will immediately avoid the resting place. I highly doubt that Heavenkind got a hold of those remains with a dragonkind's blessing. No, a dragonkind can't return to Ishtara if their remains are disturbed. So those people acquired the remains through furtive means. Maybe it was an accident. You did say even dragonkind can stumble upon them. Maybe the merchants had no idea those belonged to dragonkind. Care glared at me accusingly. Are you defending them?
What? No.
I mean, I'm trying to make sense of all this. I don't think my people would do something that disrespectful. At least, I'd like to believe that. We don't have much to go on. Now I could see why Amari was so hesitant bringing the box's contents up earlier. Too many questions and not enough answers. Everything regarding this was unsettling and ominous. I glanced down at my note, then saw the palace, the place and time to meet the carriage. Oh, it will be leaving soon.
Oh.
You're still accepting the quest? Orally, I don't want you getting involved with merchant ventures. Please, reconsider. Hare placed a hand on Elmari's shoulder. Let her do what she wants. Damn. I didn't say I would. I'm going to see if I can check the contents. Since Elmari isn't 100% sure that he even saw dragon remains, right? He nodded meekly. I want to think that I didn't. Then let's stop speculating and get some clear answers. I'll go. But what if the cargo isn't the same? The carriage is recruiting quite a few knights and senior kids, so the contents should be important. It's possible that they're the same. What would Heavenkind want with dragon remains anyway? Wait here. If you accompany me, it will definitely attract attention. I'll be back shortly. Maybe that's why the merchant who hired us in Barry was so nervous. He was being guarded by dragonkind. Ilmari appeared distraught by the idea of me going, while Care simply nodded to encourage me. Don't take too long.
Let's do this.
Ooh, it's autumn now. Look. Ah. I broke off from the group and quickly left for the location indicated on the note. It said to meet just outside the city by one of the fields. I spotted a 2-horse carriage with a Merchant Ventures sign etched on its side. There were only a few people outside of the carriage chatting, so I knew I had arrived early. Discreetly, I approached the other side of the vehicle and peered through the window. Sure enough, there was a long, ornate box, similar to the one that we had escorted to Oliver. My fingers grazed the handle of the carriage door. I gave it a gentle tug, but it refused to budge. Boiled already. As I pondered on whether to find an alternative, someone grabbed my shoulder. I whipped around, my hand rising to my hilt impulsively. It was an older man with short peppered hair and a sword at his hip. He frowned at me. What are you doing here? I pulled out my crumpled note. I'm a knight in training who joined this assignment. After examining me and my badge, he nodded curtly. Then you should properly act like one. Looking suspicious will get you instantly dismissed from the task.
Whoops, sorry about that.
I was just curious, I'm sorry, being a kit and all. Then take your position. We'll be leaving on our client's orders. We dispersed, and I glanced back at the city walls, fighting the urge to return to my friends. If I left now, I would be removed from the mission anyway, and I still hadn't seen what the cargo held. I would have to carry out my duty, at least until I had another opportunity to check the box. Sorry, Care, Elmari. This will take a little longer than I anticipated. Eventually, more knights, roughly 7 of them, and the merchant client, who I overheard was called Dervishi, gathered around the carriage. Finally, the coachman hoisted himself onto the perch. I knew we would be setting off in a few minutes. Hope Care and Elmari don't think I'm deserting them. I anxiously looked back, but as the horses trotted, I forced myself to follow the group. I'm not worried so much about their feelings. I'm worried that something's going to happen to them. They're going to get, attacked or something. And then they're going to be the remains. In a desperate attempt, I tossed the note on the ground, even though I was pretty sure the chances of the boys finding it were slim. Not like I had any other method of communicating with them. I lingered behind, my eyes darting from one knight to the next. They were all in uniform, their breastplates shone brilliantly, and they each had a trusty weapon at their hip or strapped to their back. Usually I would be elated just to be in their presence, but my mind was on other things. The city of Oliver vanished from sight as we entered the northern forest. Unlike the birch forest surrounding Barry, these trees were thicker, and the terrain even more rocky, although still a far cry from mountainous. I did my best to remain reserved, but Lady Bayard's name was brought up, and the knights asked me many questions about her and me. A few were interested in my sword skills since she had personally trained me. That's still really all they perceive when they see me. We did not make our first stop until mid-afternoon. As the knights ate, talked, or went scouting, I approached the carriage again. Although I did not have a chance to physically check the box, maybe Dervishi would... Dervishi, would let something slip about the contents. The carriage door was open. Dervishi sat inside comfortably, talking to the prominent knight with the peppered hair, who was casually stood by the vehicle. A rather terrible design flaw. One swift strike to the chest and the sternum will shatter. Ooh. Which is why, even if it's aesthetically pleasing, it's not ideal in actual... eavesdropping isn't helping either. What are the chances I would catch important information anyway? Giving up, I sidled away from the carriage. About the contents. Wait. Surprised, I turned around, only to slam my knee into the wheel. Ow! As I rubbed my leg and stood up, the knight peered around the vehicle and spotted me. Did you need something?
Whoops, sorry about that.
No, I was just going to ask how much longer break would be. No more than 10 minutes. Relay that to the others. Right, I'll do that. I gave an awkward salute and hobbled away, berating myself for that lost chance. I didn't even feel like passing on the message. Instead, I just wandered off while I tried to clear my thoughts. Eavesdropping hadn't worked, the box was already under constant surveillance, and I doubted asking directly would help. It's harder than it looks. The bushes beside me rustled, and I automatically drew my sword and pointed it at the leaves. I heard a small cry of protest.
Oh.
Your reflexes are scary, it's just me. I blinked and lowered my sword. Hello, Elmari. Elmari crawled out from under the bush and grumbled, brushing dirt off his clothes indignantly. No wonder Care made me contact you first. I heard a chuckle not far from Elmari, and Care emerged from behind a tree. I sheathed my sword, feeling tension leave my body. You two. How did you find me? Did you find the note?
What?
Note? Ilmari glanced at Care, who shrugged. No, we just asked how to get to Norvale, and this is the main road everyone uses. Pretty easy to catch up after that. Were you able to ascertain the box's contents? I shook my head, sadly. No, I've attempted multiple times, but there's been no real opportunity. You had all day, too. Hey, you try to be discreet when surrounded by 9 people, most of them armed. If there was some sort of distraction, maybe I could... The 3 of us all fell silent as we pondered.
Bring it.
I say we just pose as bandits and confront them. It'll keep the knights busy while Aura checks. Omari groaned.
I'd rather not.
Resort to violence, especially since we don't know if the box actually contains dragon remains. And what do we do if it does? Take it, of course. I don't want them to be used for anything. Dragonkind are naturally magical, and even the remains would be imbued with magic. Then, if they took the cargo, it meant the mission would be classified as a failure. My kit record would be tarnished, and it would prolong my efforts to be knighted. I gripped my badge, then opened my palm as I stared at it in deliberation. Kara and Omari seemed to have sensed my hesitation, so I looked up and grinned.
Yeah.
If it comes to that, let's do it. But, Aurelie, are you sure? Please, it'll just be a minor setback. I shoved my badge into my pocket. This is something important to you, and you need to know that I can be relied on.
Let's do this.
If the contents do contain remains, you can trust me to seize the box.
Thank you.
So, what non-violent distraction do you two have in mind? I'm out of ideas. Of course. Ilmari, how versatile is your magic?
Of course.
I could create a thick fog. It will limit their vision and you can sneak around better. I can throw in a tremor here or there to slow them down. About that,
I'd rather not.
Care will have to avoid using earthquakes. They frighten Aurelie. I cringed, not wanting that to be blurted out openly. Care stared at me in shock, followed by remorse. The whole time? I had no idea. It's fine, Care. I didn't want to bring it up. It's just something that happened in the past, and this is not the time nor place to discuss it. Ilmari will go with a fog distraction. Care, I'm sure you can think of something to frighten the knights without causing jolts. Vision will be limited, and we can't hear as well as you two. And just as I said that, their ears perked up. Both of them glanced towards the direction of the carriage. They're leaving soon. You better return. Care and I will run ahead to set our trap.
Right.
Be careful. I immediately jogged back and took my position beside the horses. I felt bad deceiving the knights, but it was the only way to know if the coffer held dragon remains. Please just be normal cargo. I slowly moved closer to the carriage and eventually let it pass me as I pretended to guard the rear. I would need to position myself optimally. The air around me cooled, causing me to shiver. A mist emerged from the ground and enshrouded us. Many of the knights paused and the carriage slowed down. Fog? At this time? But it was clear just a second ago. Part of me wants to assume that was Ilmari because he can transform and Care can't. But also it would be really cool character development if Care figured it out. Something rammed into one of the knights and they instantly vanished into the mist, causing the others to panic. Was that a ghost? Yeah, sounded exactly like a ghost. Whoa, effective. Swords drawn, the knights formed a tightly knit group to defend themselves. I took this opportunity to dash into the carriage and throw open the door. I heard another thud, followed by a scream. Dervishi huddled on the seat when I barged in and I tugged on his arm. It's not safe here. You need to get out of here now. Out of the corner of my eye, I spied the box on the floor. I yanked on Dervishi's arm again and he reluctantly got out. As soon as he was outside, I dove inside and shut the door. Hey,
Whoops, Sorry about that.
I snatched up the box and proceeded to exit out the other side, or tried to until I realized the door was locked from the inside. Okay, unlock it. What do you mean? These doors, foiled again. If you're inside the carriage, and the door's locked from inside, just unlock it. Infuriated that my plans were being thwarted by wooden barriers, I pushed open the other door, nearly smacking the client in the face as I slipped out. Sorry again. He saw that I had the box, and his eyes widened in outrage. Traitor! Thief! I ducked and darted around the carriage, alarming the horses as I headed straight into the thickest part of the mist. I heard the knights scrambling to find me as Dervishi screamed orders at them. Heart pounding, I increased the distance between us. The mist cleared as I reached a steep slope. I momentarily looked down, then glanced back as I heard more clamors. I jumped down, my body slightly angled. I staggered awkwardly as I landed, trying not to hit a tree or trip on a root. Did I get away? And the others? Remembering that I still had the box, I knelt down and hastily unlatched it. I opened it up and inhaled sharply. Inside were beautiful long objects that resembled shale with an emerald sheen. They were exactly like Care's ears. Underneath were hard flint-like stones with beautiful grooves and ridges. Scales?
Oh no.
This is bad. And it was possible this wasn't a one-time delivery. If the first carriage had also carried dragon remains, this could be a full-fledged underground trading route. How long had this been going on? How did the knights not know? Wouldn't they check the contents? Unless... I shut the box, pushing it underneath a shrub for now before standing up. I needed to inform Care and Elmari. Before I could take another step, the earth suddenly erupted. A large fissure ruptured at my feet, causing me to fall back. I thought we said we weren't going to do that. Showered in dirt, I coughed and trembled uncontrollably, unable to stand up. Not so reckless now, are you? Dervishi stood about 20 paces away, his tame peddler appearance replaced by a sinister countenance.
What? No.
How did you... Casually resting on his shoulder was a mace, decorated with spikes that resembled hard tissues, namely bones and oversized teeth. I got up unsteadily, supporting myself against a tree. You'll be surprised how much power dragon bones can grant you. Everything is permeated with magic, even long after they die. Why are you doing this? Who are you delivering these remains to? He snorted and rolled his eyes. Please, I'm not going to explain everything just because you asked. Just return the box and you'll be left unharmed. Now where did you put it? I unsheathed my sword and widened my stance, hoping not to falter now.
Let's do this.
I'm not handing it over. Pity. I hate searching. Lifting the mace, he slammed it into the ground. Another chasm, or chasms, opened up and I screamed, my body paralyzed by every vibration. It was then that I heard a loud creak behind me. I glanced up in terror. One of the trees became unstable, and it groaned as it started to lean heavily. Dervishi pointed the mace at me threateningly. Move, and the next attack will crush you. I stood up but stayed in place. My legs felt so weak I probably couldn't walk if I tried. I heard footsteps approaching, and I prayed it was my friends. Instead, 4 of the original 7 knights joined Dervishi. They glanced at each other, obviously baffled by the situation, but obediently aligned themselves before the merchant. She's the one who ran off with the goods. I don't know who she's working for, but since she's refusing to cooperate, give it back and we won't hold this action against you.
What? No.
I'm not betraying anyone. The box has dragon remains. It's sacrilegious to move them. Their souls can't return to... Be quiet. We know what we're delivering. That's just a silly superstition. Superstition? What you're doing is discourteous to dragonkind. Aren't you a kit? I am a kit. Nice to meet you. Why are you disobeying orders? Do you want to throw away your chance at becoming a full knight? One of the other knights sighed and tried speaking to me more gently. Don't you think you're being too impulsive here? You're obviously young, with a lot of pressure to your name. Don't do something rash and tarnish Argent Valera's reputation with your disloyalty. It's our duty as knights to carry out our mission with the guild and clients' best interests in mind. No, what I'm doing is more important. This is for both dragonkind and heavenkind's sake.
Let's do this.
I'm not surrendering those remains. Sensing that my resolve would not yield, the knights brandished their weapons at me. Then I'll just report to the guild that you got caught in an unfortunate accident. Smirking, Dervishi slammed his weapon into the ground 2 more times. Each shock washed over me, rendering me motionless. There was an ear-splitting crack as the tree began to topple.
Oh.
Aura! Ilmari's desperate voice suddenly shifted into a growl, and a large turquoise body sailed over me. A section of Ilmari's long neck slammed into the thick trunk as he halted its fall. His tail thrashed as he roared, straining against the weight. Ilmari was a water dragon. He couldn't move on land effectively, and he had essentially pinned himself to protect me. Ilmari. His large face turned to me. His expression was unreadable in dragon form, but I sensed his concern. I'm fine, and you were right about what that box contained. The knight seemed to waver, intimidated by the dragon's presence. Slay that dragon. Consider this out of self-dispense. Dispense? What am I dispensing? Consider this out of self-dispense again. One more time. Give me a second. Consider this out of self-defense and you will be paid tenfold for its corpse. Don't be scared. Look at how helpless it is. Ilmari snarled, but his only real weapon was his teeth and tail, and he was immobile. He couldn't transform back either, else he risked being flattened by the tree. Where was Care? I altered my stance, inviting the knights to take me on. With numbers on their side, they advanced towards me until one of the more impatient ones broke from their position. I dashed forward, swinging my sword as it met the first knight. She parried and thrust her sword forward. I sidestepped but had to duck as an axe soared over me. Wait, knights are supposed to fight one-on-one. Ah! I spun around and kicked the axeman in the back of the knee. I knew I dealt with warriors more experienced than me. Maybe I could hold my own in an individual fight, but my minor victory was short-lived when I felt a hot pain sear my left arm. I hissed in pain, realizing that I had received a shallow cut from a blade. Blood trickled below, or down my elbow. That moment of hesitation left me open, and I barely blocked another attack. The axeman and swordswoman were overwhelming me, and I frantically tried to keep them at bay. With each swing, their weapons drew dangerously closer. Each blow reverberated up my sword arm. More blood spilled as the steel blade bit into my torso, and I cried out. Ilmari's roar was deafening, and suddenly the axeman was hit with a full blast of water, causing him to topple over. "Orly, stay near me." His guttural voice startled me since I had no idea he could talk in his dragon form. Looking back, I saw Ilmari urgently stretch his neck out in an attempt to shield me, his fangs fully bared. I retreated closer to him as my 3 opponents surrounded me. One sprinted towards Ilmari, who was focused on another knight, aiming his sword at the dragon's neck. "No!" I blocked his attack, trying not to buckle under the strain. Forcing my whole weight forward, I managed to push him back. "There you are." I heard swift footsteps a second later, and the knight I fought suddenly flew back from a hasty punch. "Care." He flashed me a confident grin.
Bring it.
"Sorry, I was preoccupied with a few others. There will be no reinforcements after this. That's good." 2 down, 3 to go, including Dervishi. Dervishi. Dervish. I'm saying it right. Every single time I have to be like, wait. It feels wrong in my mouth. Like I'm saying it incorrectly, but every single time that I go back over it, I'm like, Dervishi. I'm saying all of the letters. I feel like I'm missing something in the middle of it. I don't know. Care spotted Ilmari, and his face flickered in pain. I gestured to the merchant and his mace. "Care, stop him now. That weapon causes earthquakes." Care charged ahead, but the swordswoman blocked him. The other knight, who possessed a flail, focused on me. Although the flail's range was short, its battering power was enough to make me wary. As I dodged an attack, I stepped back, and my foot found nothing but air. Tumbling, I dove to the side to avoid falling into the chasm, leaving me vulnerable. Before I could roll away, the dirt beside me burst as the steel ball slammed down inches from my head. Discarding my sword, I grabbed the chain before the knight could raise his weapon and wrenched it out of his grip. He stumbled towards me as I rotated to my back. I placed a well-aimed kick to his stomach, and he staggered back. I quickly retrieved my sword and scrambled up. Desperate, he bolted for his weapon, but a strong stream of water from Ilmari caused him to topple into the chasm. Care had already incapacitated his opponent, leaving only Dervishi, who had retreated enough to be out of Ilmari's attack range. We caught up to him. "If you cast aside your weapon, no one will get hurt. Were you simply following orders? If I turn you in..." "Me? Turned in? You're the one who stole a merchant's goods. There's no penalty for possessing dragon remains. The other knights will report what happened, and you'll be stripped of your rank and..." He recklessly slammed his mace into the ground, unsympathetic to the unconscious or wounded knights around him. Terrified, I dropped my sword and knelt down, resisting the urge to cry out. Ilmari roared as the tremors caused the tree to abrade painfully against his scales. Care bounded forward, unfazed by the attacks. Before Dervishi could launch another assault, Care's fist met his cheek. The merchant went flying, and his body slammed and tumbled against the hard terrain. On his knees, Dervishi threw a fit and repeatedly pounded the ground with his mace. Every strike resounded and increased each tremor's intensity.
Whoa!
"Stop it. If you keep that up..." Care had to leap away before the ground nearly swallowed him up. Deep fissure appeared and split, causing the ground to distort. Loose dirt rained down from the steeper slopes. It was as if the entire region was going to liquefy. Like a spider web, the ground around Dervishi now groaned and heaved. I couldn't move. I could only watch, helplessly. "Wait." The merchant gawked and slipped back, but Care caught him just before he vanished into the gaping new ravine. I would have let him go. Honestly, Care, go ahead. The mace slipped from his grip, disappearing into darkness, and giving one final tremor. Care forcefully threw Dervishi onto solid ground. I slowly regained my balance, but I was determined to remain strong. Dervishi crumbled to the dirt in a supine position, and I instantly pointed my blade at his exposed neck. It's over. You're nothing without that weapon, so just get lost. Really? Take him into custody. His forehead beaded with sweat as he nodded fervently, all of his fight gone. You're just going to let him go? He used dragon remains for a weapon. Disgusting. I'm not going to kill him, and Argent Valere is aware of what's going on. They would probably protect him. Then who could I turn to? Your mother. Dervishi wriggled out from under my sword and tried to make a hasty withdrawal. Care simply punched his lights out. Let's go. A little extreme there. He not only tried to kill us, but he put his own men in danger. I should just ask Elmari to eat him. I don't think he'd agree to that. By the way, Elmari's fucking dying. A distressed roar caught our attention. Oh, speaking of him, Elmari. Forgetting about the merchant, we hurried back to where Elmari was. Care surveyed the situation and ran under the trunk, positioning himself close to Elmari's neck. You really don't do well on land. Elmari hissed, unamused by Care's comment. With a heavy hoist, Care pushed up the trunk with exceptional strength. Mist formed around them. As the tree crashed back to the ground, I scrambled to Elmari's side. He was kneeling down and moaning. Elmari, are you okay? I was so reckless. I'll be fine. Ugh, my neck. Gonna be sore for a week. He was on the verge of tears.
Oh.
But what about you? Those injuries, and I couldn't stop them. Sobbing, he clung to me, burying his head onto my shoulder.
I'm sorry.
It was useless. That was the best I could do. I patted his back reassuringly. You were anything but useless, Elmari. I wouldn't have survived if you hadn't come to my rescue. I feel like I didn't do much myself. If anything, the person who helped us the most was... We both turned to Care expectantly, who flinched from our tender expressions. He coughed and gave us a haughty glare, placing his hands on his hips. That's right. I did most of the work. Sheesh. Both of you are pitiful.
Whoa.
Wait, what are you doing? We both embraced Care, refusing to let him escape. Can we look at this? What a good CG. Possibly my favorite CG of this entire game. Parasites. I laughed and stepped back, while Care had to apply more force to free himself from Elmari. Remembering the box, I returned to its hiding spot and pulled it out from underneath the shrub. I was surprised to find it managed to make it through unscathed. Moments later, the other two surrounded me, and I peered over my shoulders as I unfastened the latch.
Oh.
Earth Dragon. Using our remains for weapons? Ugh. Let's bury them. Somewhere away from this battlefield, in case they decide to look for them. While Care fetched the mace, Elmari and I walked until we reached the farthest fissure we could find. We were surprised by how much the region was affected by the mace's powers, and Care worked diligently to pry the remains from the weapon. He tossed them into the chasm. He then picked up the box and emptied it over the fissure. He placed an open palm on the soil, and I stepped back, preparing myself for one of his abilities. The ground trembled slightly, as debris and soil loosened, filling up a section of the rupture. When it was over, I sighed, feeling utterly exhausted. Had enough earthquakes for one day. I'm completely shaken up. I mustered a weak giggle when Elmari groaned. Having kind humor, bad. Care wiped the dirt off of his hands. What now? I grabbed my knight and training badge and glanced at it. With a dismissive wave, I tossed it to the ground, surprising them both.
Oh.
Are you sure about this? It's something you worked for. Maybe if you return and explain to the guild. He stopped when he saw me shake my head. No, the Argent Valera Guild is in on this. I don't want anything to do with them or the knights. Besides, Dervishi had a point. The other knights will report what happened, and I'll have no chance to redeem myself after that betrayal. I'm done. I took a few steps forward and turned to them so I could address them properly. Let's go home. Besides, I think this is something you should inform your masters about as soon as possible. If we can't rely on the guild to build a rapport between the Heavenkind and Dragonkind, we'll need another angle. We headed back to the main road, careful of the steep slope and the chasms the fight had created. The carriage was gone, and we saw no other knights. Kerr explained that he had managed to drive them off, which was why it took him a while to come to our rescue. Without my knowing, I started to linger behind the two, my feet dragging slower with each step. The other two noticed and turned, worryingly.
Are you okay?
Aura? I chuckled in an attempt to ease their worries, but the tears appeared anyway.
Yeah.
I'm fine. If anything, I feel like a huge burden was lifted off my shoulders. But it still hurts. I wanted to be a knight for years, and now I'm accepting it will never happen. I worked so hard. My shoulders shuddered, and I covered my face, feeling pathetic and worthless. I sensed someone standing before me, and I glanced up. Kerr glowered, unimpressed. He gave me a light smack to the forehead. Ow, what was that for? Hair. I rubbed the spot indignantly. Didn't I tell you this before? That it's just a title?
Yeah.
Knights are supposed to help those in need. I think a certain someone has already been a knight for a while, in spirit anyway. And in the end, you did the right thing. We can't thank you enough.
Thanks.
As we walked, I expressed concern over being sought out, and the others reassured me that nothing like that would happen. I did uncover an unsettling activity that would need to be confronted after all. They would seek protection from other dragons to watch over Barry, and my heart sank when they avoided the notion that they would be the ones guarding. Guess they still had amends to make. You better give me a chapter 9. Thank you. Fortunately, we did not remain long in Oliver. We were able to find a Barry resident who had delivered the last of his cargo to the city, and he offered to give us a ride back. We took it easy as we relaxed on the back of the wagon. I was still emotionally fatigued, but I did my best to remain engaged in conversation, especially since it now tackled more sensitive issues. The wagon ride was smooth, but whenever a jolt or bump happened, I would stir or bolt upward. However, I was able to have a nice nap for a little while, okay? My eyelids fluttered as I heard Elmari and Kara's voices drift in and out. Bringing it up to Master Arcelio, it's about time the Seraphis looked beyond the Skylands.
Annoying.
Good luck getting them involved, pompous dragonkind. What really concerns me is how Heavenkind even found the Seraphis remains. They shouldn't have any means of accessing them.
Leave it to me.
I'll see if Master Bedros will arrange a meeting. Right, and I'll have to break this to Master Kaya gently. she'll be even more reluctant getting involved. I can imagine her reaction. Oh my, this is why you shouldn't interact with Heavenkind. Ilmari burst out laughing at the high-pitched voice. She doesn't sound... Okay, she does. You're more observant than I thought. As she's always with Master Bedros and I'm stuck listening to her uptight.
Oh,
You're up. Planning to sleep the whole afternoon away? I yawned, rubbing my eyes as I surveyed our location. We were passing through the birch forest near Barry, and I was situated between Ilmari and Care, their shoulders grazing mine.
Yeah.
I'm up. What were you two discussing?
well...
Just a lot of stuff we have to do once we return. Sooner the better. His face fell as he said that, but he forced a smile to reassure me. And Care was entertaining me with his imitations. I wasn't even trying, but I could probably do better than Aura. I thought back to the scene in the forest when I poked fun at him during a meal. I admit it wasn't the most accurate impression. Care grinned teasingly. Hi, I'm Aura Lee from Barry. I let my sword do the talking and ow! I elbowed him and grumbled. I deny all that. Ilmari found the whole thing amusing.
Oh.
Me, imitate me. Care and I exchanged a smirk. I have a question. I have another question. I do not ask that many questions. Do I? Ilmari, that was another. The wagon bumped abruptly and I bolted upright, clutching my chest to quell my reaction.
Whoa!
Aura?
Are you okay?
I felt my friends hovering nearby. As my heart calmed down, I sank back into my original position between them. I'm okay, just startled. I hope you don't mind me asking, where did this fear of earthquakes originate?
I'm sorry.
To pry. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. It would have helped if I'd known sooner. I didn't even notice. It's alright. It's not usually brought up since it's rare for me to get caught in earthquakes or tremors. I ummed and hermed until I figured out a good beginning point. It started when I was younger, my family lived in Oliver. I would follow my mom everywhere when she did her patrols or visited different places. Now that I think about it, although some parts were still hazy, I recalled being thrilled because I was going somewhere that had a lot of knights. Their brilliant armor, their beautiful shining blades, and how I dragged this wooden sword around awkwardly. It was at the academy. It was being expanded upon, and some parts were in the middle of renovation. I ran off somewhere. I think I wanted to find the armor room or something. Anyway, that's when the earthquake hit.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember much, just everything seemed to collapse around me. After that, I couldn't ride in carriages or even enter large buildings without crying. Mom decided it was better for us to move away from Oliver and the memories associated with it. It took a long time, but eventually I got over certain fears. I focused on my night training, hoping to be stronger. Of course, my mom wouldn't send me to the academy. She's always been averse to night academies for other reasons, but my well-being definitely was one of them. Wow, this is the first time I've ever told people this story. Aren't you too lucky? No, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you trust us enough to tell us. As an earth dragon, though, I can't stand for it. What? He gave a wry grin.
Leave it to me.
You've had over some fears. If you like, I can help you get over this earthquake one. No, that won't be necessary. You sure? I'm certain if I delivered small tremors, your body will eventually get used to it. Think of it as a cure.
What? No.
That's terrible. That won't help me at all. What would you call that torment anyway? There was an awkward pause before Ilmari spoke up. Shock treatment? I groaned and shook my head, yet I couldn't help but chuckle at his feeble pun. Congratulations, Omari. You have mastered heaven-kind humor and everything there is to know about our culture. There's nothing more to teach you. Harry glanced between us quizzically, as if determined to figure out the pattern. I don't know. I felt the delivery was a little rocky. Omari burst out laughing. I could only gawk at Kara, who seemed pleased at his own joke. I made a cross with my arms. Banning this. Banning puns. As we pestered each other relentlessly, I slumped down and glanced up at the sky, wondering when these interactions had become second nature and routine. And it was all coming to an end. Not that we could help it. They had amends to make for running away. And now that we'd uncovered something rather unsettling, they had to return and report to their masters. Once we reached Barry, the driver was kind enough to stop in front of my family's home. I eagerly hopped out of the wagon. It was evening and I could see light from within my house. I barely touched the doorknob when the entrance flew open and my mother hugged me tightly. Mom. For a moment, I couldn't breathe because she embraced me so tightly. When she finally let go, she grabbed my shoulders and examined me. You're home. Congratulations on saving the world. Mom, I didn't do anything that amazing. Did you become a knight? Are you happy?
Yeah.
I'm glad I went. She hugged me a second time. That's what a mother really wants to hear. She glanced up. Come in. We were going to have dinner ready in a bit. You're all probably starving. Your dad's currently preparing some warm apple cider. Nice. I hadn't had that since last year. After Mom ushered us in, she disappeared around the corner while I pulled up a seat at the table. Care even joined us this time. What's apple cider? It's a sweet liquid. Tastes like, apple tarts. He stood up and slammed both palms on the table.
The hell?
I went through the whole journey without knowing such a thing exists. He looked as though his best friends had betrayed him. Surprise. Not deterred, Care decided to see how my dad prepared dinner and vanished as well. Hope my dad isn't making the alcoholic cider. Alcohol? It's something you add to drinks and it makes people silly and giddy.
I have a question.
Will we be able to partake? I crossed my arms and shook my head fervently. That was a disaster waiting to happen. Oh no, that's banned. I am not dealing with drunk dragons. Omari looked completely baffled, but inquired no further thanks to my unwavering expression. Regular cider will suffice, I promise. We had a festive meal along with a toast to our journey and the bonds it had forged. We excitedly told our stories, careful to avoid the more sensitive discoveries, as we did not want to cause any unnecessary concern. My sides had never hurt so much from laughing before, and my mouth ached from grinning all the time. However, each sip of cider seemed to lose its sweetness whenever I thought about tomorrow. Right. They would leave in the morning. When dinner was concluded, I urged my friends to get some fresh air, since I would help with the cleanup. They would probably want some time to themselves to reflect or visit a location anyway. I trooped up to my room and laid my bag out. Everything felt so familiar and welcoming, like I had never left. Sensing a sort of routine, I snatched up my blanket to use as a shawl. Might as well. This would probably be the last time to meet them like this. Elmari was settled by one of the apple trees, its orange leaves visible even in the dark. Instead of waiting for me to sit down, he got up eagerly and approached me.
Thank you.
For coming out to see me. I wasn't sure if I should bother you at your house. I wouldn't have minded. Soaking in the scenery one last time? Yeah, I love it here. I'm not sure when I'll be allowed to visit another Heavenkind town again. I couldn't hide my dejected expression, and Ilmari fidgeted anxiously. Without warning, Ilmari embraced me tightly. I'm really going to miss you. I wanted this journey to go on forever. Same here, Ilmari. How long will you be gone for? You'll be allowed to visit at least, right? I'll do everything I can. I'm going to see if I can encourage writing and recording in Dragonkind culture. It'll probably lessen the roles of Knowledge Keeper somewhat, but then it will allow us more freedom. We let go, his hands still clutching my shoulders. Ilmari, it sounds like you're going to change the system.
Of course.
It won't happen overnight, but I'll be sure to promote more Heavenkind and Dragonkind interaction. If you keep up your reading lessons, I promise I'll write letters to you. I'm not even sure how they'll arrive to where you are. I'm guessing you don't have an address.
What?
An address. His lips quivered and he hugged me again. This is so unfair. You still have so much to teach me about Heavenkind, about you. I know. Believe me, I feel the same way. I rubbed his back comfortingly, letting my fingers comb through his hair. I devoted my memory to the form of his figure in our embrace. Nothing more needed to be said, and we remained in the hug for a few more minutes. When Ilmari's shoulders stopped trembling and his breathing calmed down, I slowly stepped back, dropping my arms. I really can't thank you enough for everything. I'm grateful that I got the chance to join you in care. At least you two will stick together from now on, right? Yes, but what about you? I'll be fine. I'll keep myself busy. You won't be the only one with your hands full. That reminds me, where is Care? I need to say goodnight to him too. I think he's closer to your home. I thought he'd be farther away. He likes the pastry scent that your house has. Figures. We burst out laughing. Remembering the blanket, I draped it around Ilmari. You sure you won't be cold tonight? You could always spend the night indoors. He shook his head, but held the blanket close to his chest.
Thank you.
Care and I will be fine. I'll see you in the morning, Orly. I departed on a high note. Now I just had to find Care. Ilmari was right about Care loitering near my house. In fact, he was resting against the wall outside as I peered around the corner. Surprise visit. Stealth is my strong point. He arched an unimpressed eyebrow.
Annoying.
It wasn't surprising at all. I heard you stomping all over town. I was not stomping. I was walking normally. I plopped down in front of him, resting on my knees. He sat cross-legged, his hands gripping his ankles. Looking forward to being back to normal tomorrow? I half expected a blunt yes or a grumbling agreement. Instead, I was answered with awkward silence. Care? He snapped out of his trance. I guess. At least I won't be pathetically weak. Believe me, you are still plenty strong in this form. You'll probably lose your ability to punch, though. Can dragons even do that? I'll be the first one to try it. He made a fist and mimed a fake punch to my forehead, nudging it softly. I giggled.
Look,
Now it's all coming down to this. I guess I might as well say a few things. Is this another reluctant confession? He let out a sheepish chuckle. More willingly, promise.
Thanks.
I wanted to say thanks for everything. I admit I was a pain at first. I probably didn't make it easy for you, right?
Right.
You didn't have to agree so quickly. I guess I really was quarrelsome. I regret not opening up to you earlier. I feel like I created a lot of unpleasant memories. I punched him lightly in the arm to dissuade his conviction. What are you talking about? I look fondly on them all, even our bickering and petty arguments. I like to think we've matured since then. At least a little. Speaking about confessing, there's a small question that has been nagging at me ever since we met. I never asked because I knew you'd get upset. I'd like to think the Care now will answer differently. What's that? Can I touch your ears? His hand met his face and he groaned loudly. Fine, just for a moment. Still on my knees, I positioned myself so I could lean over better and extended my arms. He glowered at me in disgruntlement, but I ignored his expression as my fingers rubbed the shale-like material. Wow, they really are as hard as a rock. As I let my fingers graze the grooves and crevices, Care's irritation vanished and his eyes lingered downward to my neck. Wondering if I made him uncomfortable, I let go, but he reached out and enveloped my back with his arms, pulling me close. Care. Hello. He nuzzled my neck, and I pulled away in surprise. What are you doing? Something I wanted to do when we were on that patrol before a certain person panicked. So that was it. Did you seriously think I was going to bite you? Well, you moved so suddenly and my mind went blank. Necks are vulnerable. When a dragonkind exposes their neck to another, it means I trust you. When you rested your head back, I thought it was a sign, so I requited. Yeah. I've never heard just requited. It's always just been unrequited. Interesting. Then I pulled away. Talk about mixed signals. Tell me about it. I let out a sheepish giggle to ease my nerves. I apologize. I trust you, Care. Gingerly, he lowered his face once again, and I tilted my head to the side in response. He delicately nudged my throat with his nose. He stopped moving, and I could feel his breath on my neck.
Leave it to me.
When I return, I promise to learn how to master that transformation spell. That way I can see you again. I'll have to become a better pupil to master Bedros, but I think it's about time I took my studies more seriously. Ilmari and I will do our best to maintain strong relationships between our races. Never thought I'd be saying that, something like that in a million years. He pulled away so he could see my face, his hands now cradling my shoulders. Heavenkind aren't so bad. Still small and annoying, though, and ignorant about Ishtara. Are you referring to Heavenkind in general, or just me? I wonder. We exchanged a quick hug and both stood up. I'll see you in the morning, then. Good night, Care. Night. I gave him a small wave and retired for the night, my heart feeling heavy about tomorrow. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. I intuitively rolled over to grab my scabbard, which was propped up on the side of the bed frame. I sat up, touching the sheath, and chuckled to myself. Old habits die hard. Not like I'm a knight now. Hello? Just as I pondered on whether to retire my weapon to a plaque, my door creaked open. I drew my sword instantly.
Whoa!
Care's face briefly, before vanishing behind the door.
The hell?
Stop doing that. You're supposed to knock before you enter a girl's room. I sighed and sheathed my sword before attaching it to my belt. Then I opened the door. Is this how Heavenkind normally acts? It's how I act. Your mom did advise me to knock. If I wasn't awake before, I am now. Couldn't sleep that well. We both exchanged a strained smile. Same here. I had a lot on my mind. Downstairs, my dad was setting breakfast on the table. I heard Omari and Mom's voices drifting in from the kitchen. Curious, I moved closer to hear their talk, but Omari addressed me before I could even see them. I'd appreciate if you didn't eavesdrop on this conversation orally.
Oh, sorry about that.
I heard my mom laugh, and I decided to respect Omari's wish for now. Guess he wasn't happy the first time I did it. I glanced at Care, who gazed intently at the floor, and I realized he was able to hear the conversation clearly. Tell me about it. What's it about? I wanted to ask, but instead I poked Care's shoulder to get his attention. I'm going for a quick walk. Want to come with, or will you stay here? I'll go. Outside, the air was crisp, and there was little activity compared to the first time Care and Omari visited Barry. After spending all that time in Oliver, I had no idea I would miss my hometown that badly. What will you do when you get back, besides being a good student to master Bedros? Fight off every dragon who infringed on my territory while I was gone? Why am I not surprised? Care's ears perked up. As he turned around, I followed his glance. My home was still within our sight. We spotted Omari, who quickly joined us on our stroll. How was the talk? He mustered an apologetic smile to appease me.
Well...
About that. Care and Omari exchanged looks. I told your mom about everything, about what happened with Merchant Ventures. I gasped and waved my arm in disapproval. You what? I didn't want to cause her any worry.
I'm sorry.
I know. However, your concern is valid about Argent Valere searching for you after what happened. Your actions were likely reported, and we don't know who the merchant was working for. If we just had Omari eat him, that would have solved everything.
Oh.
Wait, you wanted me to what? No, that would have made it worse for sure. We were fortunate that no one was seriously hurt in that skirmish. I wish we handled it better, but the guild was aware of the cargo, so I'd still be treated like a thief.
I'm not sure.
Did this happen because they were ignorant about your ways? Should I notify a council member? I ruffled my hair, feeling my mind getting muddled up. Try not to overthink this. There's too many unanswered questions. I think the best method is to directly talk to one of the wise dragons for now.
I promise.
You've already done so much for us. Let us return the favor. We'll take care of it. You probably won't be much help at this point anyway. Care. No, Care's right. I don't have that much influence, and I'm definitely expelled from the guild. I doubt I could become a knight now.
I'm sorry.
We should have come up with a different plan. If Care and I had seized the contents instead of you, you wouldn't have... I wouldn't have minded taking the blame. It's good. There will always be freelance work in Barry, and I can make an honest living as a mercenary. I might talk to Mom about me overseeing more escort missions, and I'll be sure to check their cargo from now on. And you're okay with this? I noted the bitterness in his tone. Just doing menial tasks after giving up your first dream. You can do better than this, Aura. Well, I'd like to assist you guys, but you said I wouldn't be much help. I only said that because it's true now. I thought you'd rise up to the challenge. After everything we've been through, you could be a Heavenkind representative. Do something outside of your mom's name. I folded my arms and mulled over the idea before turning to Omari. Is something like that possible? Me being some sort of envoy? Omari squirmed under our inquisitive stares.
Well...
It's viable, but you would need to be well-versed in Heavenkind history, politics, how the council works. And of course, being knowledgeable about dragonkind. That sounds rather difficult. Ilmari frantically shook his head. No, I think you can do it. I'll talk to Master Kaya and Master Bedros about it and recommend you. As long as you don't need to write a letter of recommendation for something. Besides, if Care wants to help me, he'll have to brush up on his studies too. What? Oh, so by we, it was I'll leave everything to Ilmari. Care let out a light cough to hide his chagrin.
Leave it to me.
I'll be more dutiful as a knowledge keeper from now on. My specialty was supposed to be about having kind anyway.
Thank you.
I'll be hounding on you, Care. I'm still not confident I can make rational decisions on my own yet. Anyway, if we can prove to our masters that Orly will be a reliable ally, well, it shouldn't be hard with the accounts I'll be reporting. It's something to seriously consider, Orly. It'll be a role that will highly value those knightly virtues, too. Probably a little less sword fighting, though.
Let's do this.
Even so, I'm sure it will come in handy if we ever come across another Merchant Ventures episode. Merchant Ventures. But being a representative does seem to demand that I'll have to be more worldly.
Right.
Maybe I should go on another journey again to build No. Care and I were startled by the outburst while Amari shook his head pleadingly. Without us? Well, I'm not sure how long you two will be gone. Ilmari clasped my hands tightly, his expression serious.
I promise.
We'll come back soon. I'll work extra hard and help Care with the transformation spell so we can travel again. Ilmari, she can do what she wants. Don't pretend you don't care. Care. You did stay longer than what your master originally intended for you. Care hastily glanced away. I know this is selfish, but what if you leave and we can't find you? Or you get in trouble with the guild? Or, can you remain in Barry for a little while longer? You can still study and refine your skills here. You didn't mind churning butter, right? My lips stretched until I couldn't hold in my laughter anymore.
Thanks.
Oh, you two. Are you jealous that I'll be going off on some grand adventure without you? It's not like we can't do the same. We've been in Oliver long enough. Ilmari and I would get by competently. You still have a lot to learn about having kind. Hey, I know how to pay for apple tarts. Yeah, because the price is always the same. You never actually learned how to count money, which you would need to travel. And you both still can't read the job postings, so you'd be stuck. You've never slept in an inn, hired a carriage, read a map, or anything like that. Then you two would still run off at the marketplace, distracted by everything. Ilmari sheepishly pressed his fingers together. I've gotten a little better at that. He balked under our dubious stares. I have so. I let out a pretend complacent sigh. Admit it, you two would need me to help you yet again. Besides, would you actually go without me? Their meaningful smiles said all. Just don't take too long, okay? Going to be lonely. I promise I'll wait for you two.
I promise.
Leave it to me.
We'll be back before you know it.
Thanks.
We should head back. I don't want you leaving on an empty stomach, and my dad makes the best pancakes. I would encourage you to pack an extra lunch for the road, but your diets would probably be different by then. It's not heaven kind, right, Care? Just the annoying ones.
Oh.
Not anyone. Orly, what other lies did he instill in you about us? I'll sort this out. I chuckled as we headed back, ready to enjoy one more meal together. I present these offerings to pray for a safe trip and... Hey! Care snatched one of the apple tarts I'd laid out in front of the dragon altar. What? They're an offering to us dragonkind, so they're obviously mine for the taking. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. I futilely tried to snatch the treat out of his outstretched arm, but he placed a hand on my forehead and held me away. Ilmari appeared and smiled at us in amusement. Nice to see us all energetic. Despite that, there was a despondent edge to his voice, and his smile drooped. He approached the altar and, after some hesitation, knelt down and put the glass-blown ornament beside the pedestal. Kara and I immediately stopped our teasing, and I touched Ilmari's shoulder in concern. You're not taking it with you? No, I think it will be better if it stayed with you. Kara and I will be working together, so I want you to have something to remember us by. He gauged the size of the cave. I'll be outside. Kara needs to be close to the altar to transform back since his master has to completely remove the curse.
Right.
Meet you outside. I thought about leaving as well to give Kara some space, but I paused when I saw him pick up the discarded walking stick from long ago. He twirled it in his hands, then looked at me. This brings back a lot of memories. He poked me with it, and I shielded myself with exposed palms. Hey, hit me with that and I'll confiscate it. He laughed, then turned it sideways as he presented it to me. I hugged the stick close before propping it against the altar beside Ilmari's blue ornament. You're creating like a wizard's staff here. Besides the missing apple tarts, I hoped it was a satisfying offer to the wise dragons. I stepped back, lingering close to the cave wall. Kara knelt down, then glimpsed my position. You, need to move back.
Right.
I shuffled back a few paces. Farther. Here? No, farther. Now you're just messing with me. Have you ever seen an earth dragon before? Just you and your heavenkind-sized. Which is not an accurate representation, as you'll see in a minute. I practically hugged the cave at the corner. Expecting a flash, I shielded my eyes and slightly averted them. I heard some mumbling, but I was too far away to comprehend it. As I predicted, Kara was engulfed in a bright light, which expanded and took shape before materializing into his true form, the tiniest whittled wagon you've ever seen in your life. Damn it. I wanted him to be whittle. Unlike the lithe and serpent-like water dragon, the earth dragon was bulky with powerful limbs, folded wings, and overlapping armor that ran down from its neck to the end of its tail. It had rock-like juts protruding from its elbows and knees. I gasped and cautiously took a step forward. The ears and the earthy tones reminded me of Care, but I'd underestimated how fearsome he would appear in his true body. Care? Who else would it be? He took a step, his large weight causing the cave to tremble. Yikes. I immediately grasped the wall, not wanting to pitifully kneel down in fear. His large eyes widened, and his next step was more cautious, like a cat getting ready to pounce. I know. Tremors aside, I could still take you on in a fair fight. A proud snort was heard, and his head loomed over me before lowering. I'd like to see you try. His voice was deeper with a natural growl to it, but it was definitely Care. Care nudged me with a snout, and I took an unstable step back. Easy there. Sadly, we can't wrestle on the grass playfully anymore. Come on, Ilmari's waiting. All ready to go?
Yeah.
I'll see you two off as well. It'll be a nice walk until we reach the river. Care, why don't you give us a ride? Care flapped his wings indignantly. Or your teasing is rubbing off on him. I was actually thinking the exact same thing. Can you fly me at least, please? He folded his wings and grumbled, expanding a claw in the dirt. Unless there's a mountaintop I can glide off of, my wings are pretty much useless, really. I gave Care a blank stare as I slowly registered the news and couldn't hide my disappointment. What do you expect from an earth dragon? That's like expecting Ilmari to walk on land.
Oh.
Hey. At least I can move around in this form. You, on the other hand. I started laughing. At first, it was simply a giggle, but it soon grew into a full chuckle. I don't think it was purely from their antics, as I realized that my eyes were moist and I blinked it away. I'm really going to miss this. I wanted to ask for them to stay, question whether they really had to go back, but I knew it was hard for them too. When we reached the river, Ilmari took a few reluctant steps forward before he twirled around and hugged me close.
Thank you.
For everything, Orally. I promise we'll see you again. I'll help train Care so he can transform on his own as well. Is it a difficult spell? Ilmari's loud sigh explained everything, and he eyed Care wearingly. We dropped our arms and parted from our embrace. It'll take time. For now, we have to explain the full situation to our masters, which will most definitely strain the relationships between Dragonkind and Heavenkind. Care hissed and fluttered his wings.
Annoying.
What a hassle. But it's something they should be made aware of now before the situation potentially gets worse, or else there will be real tensions to worry about.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I jabbed my chest with a thumb. I'll be busy providing services to traveling merchants passing through Barry for now. I'll make sure all shipments going in and out are verified. Not as glamorous as knighthood, but I think it's important. I'll definitely consider that representative role too.
Let's do this.
Now let's get going. We're obviously stalling. I backed away, giving Ilmari some room. The mist enveloped him, and a large shape stretched and loomed before me, followed by a splash. When the fog had evaporated, Ilmari's neck and head were still visible from above the water. A thought occurred to me, and I motioned for Care to lower his ears. Hey, Care, do me a favor. I reached up and patted his muzzle. Give Ilmari his beach back. His nostrils flared, but he made a small jerking motion with his head that resembled a nod.
Thanks.
Good. If you do, I promise to visit you both. Somehow. Like a puppy demanding attention, Ilmari nudged my shoulder with his snout until I turned and patted it as well. Play nice, you two. We'll be fine. Take care, Orally. Satisfied, Ilmari retreated into the river while Care began walking upstream. I was surprised Care didn't vocalize a goodbye. However, he glanced back momentarily, and I smiled to myself. He didn't handle partings that well. Take care, Ilmari. I fought the urge to run along with them, and instead waved at them fervently until I disappeared from sight. Knowing I would break down sobbing if I continued to stand there, I returned to the cave. I smiled wistfully as I picked up the glass ornament and the crude walking stick. Once I had arranged them in front of the dragon statue, I made a prayer to the altar. Not sure if this communication works between anyone or just between Dragonkind. I should have asked. How silly of me. But, please take care of those two for me. They're both important to me, and it'll be lonely without them. I have a feeling they'll be preoccupied with a lot of things before we can see each other again. Satisfied with the conclusion, I sauntered outside of the altar, with Ilmari's gift in my bag and Care's walking stick in my hand. The vivid redness of autumn had died, replaced by bare trees and a noticeable nip in the air. The heaviness I had felt in my heart disappeared, replaced instead by a strong optimism. I knew I would see Kara and Omari again, but for now,
Right!
I have to finish my patrol first. Never thought I'd miss those. Aww. That made me sad, that ending. Ooh, okay. Concept art. Fun, exciting. Ooh, nice. I really liked this. It was cute. I liked all the different, like the chibi art and things like that, the little like cut-ins, all the different things. Ooh, side view. I feel like we didn't get to see his braid as much as I wanted to. I'm just not really, oh, that's cute. There's lyrics to this song, but it's rather quiet. Dragon. Roar. Interesting. Ooh. Dead brushes. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, this was... I don't know how long this is going to be and how much I'm allowed to talk during it. This was cuter than I expected it to be. I don't know. I know that I went into this rather blind. Ooh. And that I had... Like, I put it on my list of games that I wanted to play, but it had been a while. And so I didn't remember much about it other than wanting to play it. But I did really enjoy this, okay? I really enjoy this, like, a lot. I don't want to say a lot more than I was expecting to, but I feel like had no expectations going into this. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I want to see, though, if there's like an after credits sort of scene, or I feel like we can't just leave it with we'll see each other sometime again, right? That's cute. Special thanks to Renby. Oh, there's nothing. It's just we'll see each other again someday. No. I don't know why I was really expecting it. It's just, ugh. That makes me sad. That makes me so sad. But I don't know that there's anything else that we need to talk about. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. Here's the song that plays over and over again on the menu screen. That drives me crazy. Because it's just this section over and over again. I really enjoyed this. I like the fact that it was, you know, a full story, but the game is also free. And I found out recently in between recordings that this game is on like everything. Like it came out on Switch fairly recently. And I thought that was just so wild. Like, I'm really surprised by how much was there for it being like a free game, you know? I feel like I should have paid for this. I liked it enough. It should have cost me something monetarily. But I think that's all really I have to say. We already talked about my thoughts and feelings. I missed the CG. I missed one single CG. That's crazy. I missed 2 CGs. These are probably for the different quests. It could be that this one is as well, because we left with like 3 quests that we didn't do, right? So that makes sense. This one, though, what did I miss? Oh no. Anyway, with all that being said, we finished the game, so I'm going to have to end this video here for now. Forever, I guess. I hope it doesn't take too long for them to see each other again. Thank you for joining me on this journey, one that you may perhaps describe as an autumn's journey. I hope that you enjoyed this. I know that I did a lot, and I will see you guys in the future or whatever I play next.